涙よ星に瞬きを伝えて守るものがあるからきっと強くなれる。語るべき言葉なくした星の守り手は時の果て夢の果て闇に立ちすくんだ風を呼んでみたんだ空に向けて誰かを呼んでみたんだ光求めたソリチュードかすかなレゾナンス確かに届くロマンスそんな流れ星たちを抱き留めた明日が見えなくだって乗り越えなくちゃって奇跡の奇跡描き未来へつなぐ Growing High 心のフォトンが銀河にこぼれて道を強く照らす Burning Bright それぞれの思い秘めた星の守り手は空からの呼ぶ声に導かれた重ねる手と手には言葉なんかより伝わることがある熱い心通じ合った確かなレゾナンス見つけるのはエッセンス目指した意識の先がディスティネーション答えが見えなくてくじけそうになって支え合い誓い合う絆でつなぐシャイニースマイル心のフォトンが銀河に溢れて道を開く鍵は My Starlight Heart乗り越えなくちゃって奇跡の奇跡描き未来へつなぐ Growing High 心のフォトンが銀河に溢れて道が開いたら羽ばたいてゆこうよ乗り越えてゆこうよ星空と溶け合っていつまでも行ける Fly High まっすぐ願いを世界に歌って新しい夜
Welcome to the start of an amazing time here with some of the best that our scene has to offer here in NA. I'm excited to showcase the Saito GG Path2Pro Combine here with 37 amazing players that are hoping to show their stuff, impress some of the scouts, and hopefully find a home. My name is Orbital. With me is Random Minion Caster, the best minion to ever wander off the Rift, and we'll be your casters for the first series here today. RMC, how you doing?
Well, bro, it's a great time to be here, and I'm excited to get into this because we've been seeing with the whole LTA merger thing, and now the dissolution of the LTA back to the LCS CB law. It feels like the town has fallen by the wayside again. Things haven't been helping it out. So the Saito Combine last year did a lot to get a lot of eyes on our upcoming talent that has proven itself. I feel like within the LTA, and it's now 2025. Looking towards 2026. A lot of changes for these teams potentially coming in, and hopefully the Path2Pro Combine that starts here for Saito will be able to help identify some of these players that we will be starting to see again in the top tier of talents next year.
And you'll be able to learn a lot more about what this combine entails. There are a lot of different stipulations. Some of the matches that you see coming throughout the next, I believe, 21 days of play will be very, very exciting to watch. Some of these will have very specific conditions actually set upon the players, as here today, we are not always looking for wins or losses. We are looking to see how well these players communicate, how well they play with others across multitudes of other teams, and how well they are able to take criticism, as we also have some coaches in the background chattering with them. But, of course, here today, for the opener, we let the players have a little bit of freedom and have a little bit of fun. The opening showcase will see full Fearless, and that's going to be a treat today, as Team 1, we'll talk about the players in a little bit, are obviously a little bit worried about a LeBlanc on the other side, and then the Azir on the flip, as you can probably guess who some of these players are.
A lot of mid lane focus, but let's not let people keep guessing. Orbital, we'll just give you straight up names. On the blue side, Team A, it is Hoarder in the top lane, U13 in the jungle, Shochi in the mid lane, Mobility as AD carry, and Minui as support, coached by Razvan. On the red side, Team B, it's going to be K in the top lane, Kizno in the jungle, Aojun in the mid lane, Array and Rovex rounding out in the bot side, and their coach for this block is going to be Falcons.
We made a little loving joke about Aojun. Basically, it's the Dark Zero and Blue Otter squad with Aojun on the ropes over there. But overall, it is kind of a treat, as you mentioned, Hoarder, Yu, Shochi, and Mobility. Minui, Shochi obviously drawing a lot of love with that Azir, but you see some of these other bands coming through here, which is quite interesting. The Rumble up to that top side. K won't be getting that one, but the Yunar having a treat in there at the ADC position. We saw some very fantastic play at the beginning of Worlds here so far, so it's been a treat. And then, of course, Zyra to follow through.
Okay, that's a little bit interesting. Zyra, to me, I wasn't expecting her to be necessarily prioritized, but she is very, very good at disengage, mass disengage. And what we do see right now in the current meta is a lot of team fighting, a lot of hard engage, melee champions just kind of rushing in there. So potentially removing that early to facilitate more carries and more ability to just kind of dive through. For Team MMA as well, when I see names like Quarter, like you, heck, even like Shochi, who's in the past been known for his sort of melee mid laners as well, it does feel like they would be very comfortable running short range composition. So maybe that's a setup for just that.
Yeah, also some extra focus there in that mid lane. Aojun saying, I don't want to deal with that Orianna, a great setup champion, which when we're talking about the fact that is there a nice mechanical champion that kind of sits on the baseline? The base for a lot of mid laners is that Orianna. How well can you pilot the Orianna? It's a great all-around champion, so might as well take it away, especially when you got things like a Wukong on the flip side saying, hey, we don't want to allow the combo to go through. Wukong picked up first for you, who here today is hoping to show their stuff, as they're on a roster that has quite a few people that have played in a lot of these NACL areas. So far has yet to make their own kind of debut in some of these larger scenes.
Yeah, the only player I believe actually in this particular lobby who hasn't played an NACL just yet. He plays for Weber State University, but he's played in things like Aegis as well before. A very aggressive player. He likes to be that carry. He likes to have damage. So I feel like Wukong's kind of best of both worlds, where you can be the carry, have the damage, while also being great setup for your team, especially with Shochi in the mid lane. There's a lot of mid lane champions that pair very well. Anything with AoE works wonders with the Wukong. On the other side for Team B, though, we're seeing the Trundle and the Rise being locked in. So a lot of late game strength already. With Trundle as well, you can kind of shred away tanks, which kind of puts Team A in a bit of a tough spot if they want any sort of tankiness up against a Trundle. If you're going to go tankiness, you're going to need more than one tank. If not, it's kind of not worth it. And I wouldn't be surprised if we just see them damage overload at this point.
I like that shift that you just mentioned. Hey, let's go ahead, start focusing on that one. And it's the responses that we really like to see. So far, though, we got a little bit of the old school, talent set up there. It's the Jack saying, we're going to throw down. I'm going to challenge you to a battle one way or another. And for Hoarder, we mentioned before, has a pretty decent history of being very, very hyper, being very aggressive. So the
Yeah.
Jax really likes to be a call out. Interesting enough, though, you got the Morgana to come out to maybe get a little bit spicy. Not only in the support role, some like to run it in the mid as a little bit of a joke.
Yeah, I think Morg mid right now is more than a joke. She's actually becoming quite meta, and I think we see her more in the mid lane actually than we see in the support role right now. We talked about AoE setup as well with the Wukong, the instant cyclone into the Soul Shackles to buy it time to get the stun off, plus the Jax Counter-Strike. Yeah, this is short range. This is really scary coming through from TA, and I'm really curious what we're going to see from the red side to answer this right now. With that sort of Rumble Desira taken away, with the Pantheon locked in as well. Oh, bro, that's a Trundle top lane most likely, unless we see Pantheon flex into the bot side. Rovex does play a lot of weird supports at times. He was formerly a mid laner, so he's got a huge champion pool. But I feel like Pantheon's more of a Manui support than he is a Rovex style support.
Well, at the same time, with the heavy overload of possibly the top side of the map, we are looking at that bot side already starting to be focused. Both Array and Mobility have a good history of being very aggressive and having very nice mechanics in there. Obviously, they were handpicked to be in here. These 37 players were hand selected by a lot of these coaches and a lot of the prospective eyes out there through a massive selection process. I do want to point that out. So very, very nice to see that there. But eyes out and showing that this bot lane might have some focus. However, there is a Scion ban, so maybe inkling a little bit away. Team A saying, top lane still might be a little bit dicey.
Yeah, and that kind of feels like they're thinking either the Trundle or the Pantheon gets flexed to support then. Which, hey, it would make this bot lane very, very spicy for sure. The Morgana could then be flexed as well to try and answer a Pantheon, for example, where he can just Black Shield the stun away. He's still got the damage, but he doesn't have the CC. For Team B, though, they're pretty sure it's just going to be the bot lane to come through from Team A there. So it's Mobility and Minui that they're targeting a little bit. They're trying to take away that aggressive strength that Mobility has with that Lucian. If he still wants early game, which is something that he's excelled at primarily in the NACL, he's still got the Jhin, he's still got things like Misfortune, Corki that he can pick up and still trade very effectively with.
Of course, still getting that mix and match in there. Of course, for the Blue Otter side of things, they're saying, let's have some fun in there. To keep in mind, Array and Rovex have played together quite often on a team, and so getting that match again, maybe showing a little bit their synergistic will, especially with the roaming potential of a Bard now. We're starting to see a lot of that momentum in this shift. The entire composition of Team B right now looks to be that how quickly can we enter a different lane and how clean are we on the communication to bring a 3v3 into a 5v3 or 1v1 into a 3v1.
Yeah, certainly a lot of pick potential and a lot of global pressure coming through with the Bard, with the Pantheon, with the Rise, a lot of mobility. Team A, though, it's just still really straight simple. It's team fighting, like we talked about, AoE, dive composition with the Kaisa as well. And I think in terms of AD carries for the red team here, like I'm thinking things like Xayah potentially to survive the dive, even, or maybe an Ezreal who can try and create enough space to get away to safety. And Ezreal I think would fit really well as well in terms of just the whole global composition, the theme they've got going, and the pick potential that it'd give them. Corki into this comp, that's a choice.
I mean, it's throwing down some sort of angle here, and it's impressive. I mean, Array, of course, having that history behind them, saying, I want to also show what I can do here. And Corki does have the damage overload in there. We mentioned it earlier. That mobility has a good history on it. Actually, I believe has a pentacle, I believe, in the back pocket. I was looking through, and it's always fun noticing, when the players excel. But I do agree that the Corki is just kind of out there. I like the Ezreal idea, but this Corki actually signals that for Team B, they are also looking to angle down towards that bot lane still. They are looking to try and apply some pressure down there. So maybe it's not the Bard roaming out, but bring everyone in to this bottom lane.
Yeah, and it's perhaps an adaptation as well to the fact that they don't think their composition can really just stand and deliver and just front to back fight necessarily or group up into a big team fight. The Corki, like you talked about, has a damage overload. Most importantly, the Corki has burst damage that can come through very, very quickly. And if they get any member of Team A here, whether it be Hoarder, you, Shochi, Mobility, Minui, all of them are squishing. Even the Alistar, yes, he's got the damage reduction, but he's not going to get that much gold to get all that tanky. If they can get any sort of pick off, burst it down with the Corki, maybe then they look for the 5v4. But even then, overall, I'm going to be honest, I'm looking at Team A's composition here, and even 4v5, I still think they have a decent chance at winning a team fight if Team B group up. if we don't see, the Corki splitting up away. And with the amount of short-range champions, like Ryze isn't terribly long-range, neither is Corki, the odds of them getting caught by AoE still feels fairly high.
Yeah, I mean, you look on that flip side, and I love the fact that you pointed out that CC chain that can come through, because we haven't even mentioned that there's a Counter-Strike behind it as well. When we look at the Cyclone coming out, when we look at that Soul Shackles, they're great CC, but then you get the Headbutt, Pulverize, all of this can quite literally say, even if you want to run, you really, really can't. So to me, that's the interesting part. I do want to mention, though, in the mid lane, the answer, and I want to highlight this a little bit more, because Shochi and Aljun have fairly long histories, I think, of playing, in the competitive scene, and to see them play maybe not so mechanically strength champions, obviously LeBlanc, the Azir were both banned away. These feel much more like playmaking into the mid to late is where their strengths are really going to shine. And I like the fact that we are seeing that very early on, the idea of how well do you communicate, how well do you bring your team to the next level.
Yeah, and it almost feels like they're not necessarily playing. Well, actually, I should qualify what I'm saying. Shochi is not going to be playing necessarily for himself with the Morgana. One of the reasons why Morgana is very good is not so much because of her ability to 1v1 outright kill somebody, though there is the potential, especially if you're leading off with Soul Shackles, with the slow, into the binding, into the stun. It's a lot about her wave clear and her poke power with the Tormented Soul, and her safety with the Black Shield that she gives not just herself, but potentially to other members of her team. And whenever you pair it with any sort of CC, Dark Binding's duration is so incredibly long. Now, with the Wukong, you kind of got to wait till level 6 before that jungle mid duel becomes that big a threat, because there's no on-demand CC coming through from Wukong. But the AoE chain that we talked about is the big focus here. Whereas you look over the Ryze, and every time you see a Ryze, it's simple. It's skill. So you are kind of playing for yourself. But it's also kind of like the prior you get in lane with how fast you can shove out once you get that tier, followed by the sort of global ability early, and then once you kind of hit that 2-item power spike, that's when you kind of become a menace and a bit of a front line while being consistent damage. So for Aljun, early on, perhaps he might play a little less selfish, but later on, I do think he's a big focus on the team and might even become the biggest carry with how squishy Corki is and with how delicately Array will need to pilot this Corki. I don't know if he'll get that many auto attacks off into this sort of wombo combo composition.
Yeah, and that might also lean into the fact that we are watching those junglers, try and help out those lanes as well. Just like the mid lane is scaling in the mid to late, I'm looking at both these junglers to sit into the mix. I mean, both of these players have, I would say, fairly different styles. You, of course, coming into this, looking to try and bring that carry. Yes, the Wukong can bring a lot of power, can bring a lot of damage, and a lot of engagement. But, like, I love seeing Wukong's duel it out. I love seeing Wukong's, take the 1v1, get out scot-free, in a 1v2 with the clone and all. And then Kizzo on the other side, well known as that team play, the engager, making plays with the team. So whether it is that Trundle or the Pantheon, we are hoping to see the team influence in all the lanes, early, mid.
Yeah, that's actually kind of funny too, because I don't think Wukong can get out scot-free against the Pantheon. Pantheon's kind of scary. They did nerf his clear speed, and that actually kind of dropped him out of sort of that S tier of junglers. But he's still very, very effective. And you talk about the fact that Kizno is known for setting up his team, being that facilitator for the team. When I think of Kizno, I actually think more of picks like the Trundle that we're seeing here, and there is still a chance that maybe Pantheon Trundle gets flexed around between top and jungle. Not 100% sure on that. Especially when Kizno is so good on things like the Trundle, like the Xin Zhao, where he ganks really early to get his lanes ahead, and he's really good at frontlining and creating that space for the team. But yeah, Pantheon's kind of not like that. When Pantheon plays for the team, what it means is I just gank 24/7. I look for those kills. I like to get my lanes kind of snowballing. And while he has played it a lot in solo queue, I'm curious how he's going to be able to kind of make it work with this sort of team, especially when he's got K in the top side, where they've both been on Dark Zero this entire split for NACL. I'm sure there's a bit of jungle top synergy going on here, and if they can get some early kills there, especially when you've got Pantheon, who's so strong at those early ganks, hits level 6 and starts ganking the other lanes, there could definitely be a very fast sort of cascading effect across the lanes from that sort of early pressure.
Yeah, also shout out to Dark Zero being its squad that is also offering a chance at tryouts for some lucky players here on the day. I want to give a big shout out to them as they are actually hunting for more players to beef up their lineup coming into 2026. So maybe you look at the side of, Kay and Kizzo, and they're like, yo, we're not giving up our spot. We're going to fight here. We're going to take it over. And we're going to show our stuff. But it is against Hoarder up in the top side. Hoarder coming from Supernova has a little bit of synergy in there with Manui, maybe not in the greatest way, because I believe Hoarder actually lost to Manui earlier, just a couple days ago, actually, in the ACL grand finals there. So, maybe some treats in there, but on a Jax, the idea that for Dark Zero they want to shut it down, it is very true for Hoarder. If he gets ahead on the Jax, we've seen Jaxes take over games no matter what as well, and that's terrifying to think about.
And on top of that, Hoarder is particularly scary on scaling champions to me. I mean, this guy was second team All-Pro in NACL, the split. That's kind of how good he was. And I feel like a lot of his strength was not so much his team fighting or his 1v1 kill threat. So a lot of it was just his laning and how good he was at controlling the waves and just kind of CSing. So when you give him a hyperscaler like Jax, on somebody who knows how to sit back and scale, it almost feels like it is guaranteed, as long as his team doesn't int, that he will hit that late game stage. And then again, you look across the team when you see Shochi, Mobility, Minui. I know historically Shochi and Minui can have very high highs and very, very low lows, but at the same time, I think they've actually been quite consistent in recent years, and especially in a combine like this, in a game one, I don't think they're gonna. It is a block of 3. They could coin flip, but at least looking at their picks, this doesn't feel like they're looking to coin flip here. They're looking to play stable and just show that they are overall better.
And that's going to be very exciting to me. I love the composition that they built up, and in the idea that the power is coming in different areas. That I think is a lot of the fun when it comes to these combines. One of the things that, for some that may not know, I actually tried to run a team back in the past, and one of the crazy things that you do look at is how synergistic can you be, but also off the fly. I mean, when you look at a lot of these players, they're going to be shuffled around, and that's the big call, is you're most likely not going to be playing with the same squad each time. Highlight for bottom lanes or, especially is your ADC and support might be different each time as well. So how quickly can you adapt to the playstyles of your team? How do you actually adapt to it? Is it the champion change? Is it your own playstyle change? It's a very big treat to see across the entirety of the combine.
Yeah, no, well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that leads into a little bit about the format of this particular combine and sort of the schedule we'll be running on. So while we are waiting to load into the game, let's talk a little bit about how these blocks go. So first of all, they are blocks of 3s, not best of 3s. So winning is kind of secondary to what you're able to display within this combine. Now, with the drops as well, as we mentioned, right now it is full fearless, but sometimes they will be given special conditions like worlds drops or limited champion pools or specific picks that teams might run. And that leads to what you're talking about, Orbital, a little bit about how these teams will need to figure that out within the time they're given. Now, time they're given. Right now, the teams have drafted, and they are given a little bit of time. They're given about a minute after the draft to actually kind of discuss how they want to operate their compositions, and then we load into the game. So please bear with us if you do notice we're kind of talking a little bit more than usual. It's because the game's taking a bit longer to get started while the teams are.
Well, what do you mean? You don't like the sound of your own voice? I mean, like we can talk and talk and talk. That's like why we're hired for some of this stuff, right?
Oh, bro, you mean you listen to casters? You don't just have I'm on mute.
Just auto mute on that. No, just auto mute.
Yeah, so unfortunately, if you do, this is great. If you don't, this is why we are talking a little bit more than usual. Now, within the game as well, folks, we have to keep in mind there might be pauses in game, not because of connection issues. The coaches actually are given timeouts in the game if they need to pause the game. I believe they're given a 2-minute timeout per game, which can only happen when there's no interaction between players, so on resets and stuff like that. Coaches can pause the game midway to just kind of fix problems that are happening. We don't know if the coaches will use that, but it is an option. So if we do see a pause, it might not be a connection issue. Then, of course, after the game is done, there will be a bit of a longer break as teams are doing their VOD reviews and kind of discussing that. I believe some of the players are streaming their games, but the rules of the combine are they have to mute during the reviews. So be aware that if you're following along on one of the co-streams, that should be muted. You probably won't hear anything, and there'll be, I don't know how long the breaks are or how much time they have to review, but there will be a significant time of pause in between games.
Yeah, not just that. The fun part is you get to see these players grow across the way. We mentioned that there are 37 players, but there are going to be multiple matches throughout the day. So this is actually the first block here on the day. Later on at about 5 p.m. PT will be the second block, which will feature, I believe, about 10 new players. And we are trying to give the opportunity to all these players to play in this online combine, because not only is this online combine having 37, but in the future, CytoGG have, of course, been very gracious and offered a chance to a boot camp over in Seoul for 10 lucky players. So there's a lot on the line for these players to show their stuff, and that's why we want to give all the players as much time as possible to be able to play, to also have the chance to talk to a lot of these coaches and discuss, because there's a lot of schools of thought in how these games run and how a game should be played as well.
Yeah, now it's just a bit longer, Orbital, hopefully, before we kind of get into the meat and potatoes of it. I wanted to ask you, is there any player that you're keeping an eye on here within this
Oh,
first
oh,
game
that's
even. Yeah.
oh yeah. See, that's my question that I usually ask. Someone put you up to that, and that is always what I ask. To me though, it is I think going to be you. You coming into this, I think has a
Mhm.
lot that they really do want to prove, and I don't say that in any harmful way or anything like that. I think you has great experience, but when you do look at the fact that you are chasing an NACL spot basically, and you want to show that you deserve to be there, it always means that you are going to have that in the back of your mind. So I want to see, especially given the Wukong, such a good playmaker and how you set up the rest of the team. This first game, I think, will bring a lot of impact and hopefully a lot of fun for the player. And hopefully you is able to showcase the best of their abilities to start this combine off right.
Yeah, and oh, bro, you and I have actually cast you before in the collegiate scene where
Yep.
he's primarily playing right now on Weber State University, and he sticks out in my mind because when I spoke to his coach about him before, I was told that this guy plays things like Belveth, his Zyra, which weirdly enough actually got banned by his team, which was why it surprised me. But he has these odd, weird pocket picks, and Belveth is near and dear to my heart because it's a very Brazilian pick. We used to play in the jungle and support there, and he also plays with a lot of Brazilians on the Weber State team, including his mid laner Goku. So I'm very excited to see you pop off here. He's a bit of a carry player. I'm going to be honest. This game, the Wukong is a great meta pick. I don't feel like it's a pick that Yu's really going to get a pop off on necessarily, and there's so much damage on his team. So definitely excited to see you. Maybe hopefully in later series, maybe we get to see that Belveth. Fingers crossed.
Well, listen, we got 3 games to possibly go through. Whether you win or lose, it's all about how you play and what you do to improve across all 3 games. Let's go ahead and get started with game number 1. We are headed in to this game, hopefully very, very quickly, as we got a Corki very deep in enemy territory, which I do love. This is kind of a little bit silly. The fact that it is actually named Corki, that is... Okay, I haven't seen that before. That was a mix between the real names and I think the champion names in there. That was interesting. We got the legitimate Corki in the game.
Yeah, like Array just that Array is Corki. I guess that's why he picked him.
He changed his name midway. That's actually why we were taking so long. He was changing his name. He bought RP just to do that.
Hilarious if he did it. Unfortunately, no, it was just a pause in game where we didn't hear whether it's players, coaches, or whatever. I can't imagine that the coaches are using the timeout right as the game's your teams. You know what? The win con is not that. It is more complicated for the red team for sure for Team B, but it's not that complicated. It's just a lot of globals. There's a lot of win lane and kind of snowball from there, right?
Well, I also want to bring up the school of thought that having coaches midway through a game would be very interesting. I think because I come from a side of multiple games being played, obviously, and in Valorant there are timeouts between rounds that you can apply, and you can actually change up your game plan as you go. And I do find it very interesting what it would be like. You and I were discussing this. We as casters do have insight into some of these players and how they play. We get to watch them, but coaches are a different story. Coaches are very near and dear to a lot of these players, into the teams themselves, and how they coach is evolving over time as well, and it's very tailored to the players specifically. And it would be interesting to see what would happen if on a live stage in 2026, 2027, where in game you have a coach walking around that you see sometimes in CSGO or in Valorant that can hit a pause for a minute. Hey, we want to focus on this instead. Get your heads back in the game.
Yeah.
It would be so interesting to actually see a game be paused midway on a stage and watching the restructuring of the game plan in front of us.
Yeah, I mean, it's like traditional sports, right? Traditional sports have
Yeah.
timeouts that you can use to try and get your team back into the game. So I'm very curious to see how it's kind of used here. And again, reminder: this is a combine. It's not like a traditional sort of block of 3 or anything. Winning is not the goal here. So even if we see a pause kind of being used to coach a moment, it might not actually result in teams playing better after that necessarily. It might just be pointing out a mistake that's already happened, and it can be really hard to see sometimes the sort of full benefit or the full scope of what a coach is doing for a team. And the few times I've had a chance to speak to some of the coaches, the scope of their jobs feel very different coach to coach. They all have very, very different styles after all.
Yeah, and that's I think also the fun part that we don't talk about during combines. We actually, I think it's not just a time to scout, but it's also a melting pot of the ideologies and the focuses for a lot of these coaches, and they can also learn off of each other as well. It's not just for the players, but it's also for the coaches to learn and grow as they go along, to discuss what's the appropriate plan. It's a whole other side of this combine that I don't think gets talked about enough, And that's why we've seen such an increase in growth. I mean, for me, it was, you know, watching all these coaches come in 2015. Maybe not these guys specifically. Don't get me wrong, some of these names, obviously. But when we saw the introduction of coaches in a much more structured format in League of Legends, we saw an explosive growth of these players. So the fact that we get a lot of coaches roaming out, you'll see a lot of their names pop up here and there throughout the entirety of the combine. Keep in mind that they're going to have some fun. Maybe some of the players get to chat with them as well. So it'll be a lot to talk about. Again, we appreciate everyone's patience here as we do go ahead and figure out what is going on. If they are using their pauses here, it would be maybe, hey, you stepped out of the wrong tri-brush. Why the heck would you do that? How dare you mess up our game plan of trying to get a 5v1 situation? You know, we don't know what's going on in those pauses.
Dare I curse it overall? I feel like, you know, I'll just say it because I don't know how long this pause is going to take, but it can't be as bad as NACL, right? Right? We're not getting in 45 minutes into 45 minutes into 45 minutes? Surely not.
Well, we hope not, but either way, we are going to figure it out for your viewing pleasure. Hopefully you enjoyed me and RMC talking our butts off for about 30 minutes, talking about all this silly stuff. We will send him back to the Rift to go fix the game that he came from, and hopefully we get into game number 1 here. We'll see y'all in a bit. Welcome back, everyone. So there might have been a double jinx by myself and RMC. We may have cursed the game a little bit too hard, and we are currently unable to spectate the game. It is a little bit bittersweet for us as they are currently playing, and from my understanding, they're both doing their own stuff. However, at the current moment, we are unable to spectate, meaning we will have to try again in game number 2, and that'll be coming up hopefully in just a little bit. Either way, though, if you do wish to see some of these players currently in action, they are currently streaming their POVs. Go ahead, all the players that we did mention earlier. I know personally, Shochi, I believe, is currently streaming his. If you wish to go check out and see what's going on, go ahead and head over there. At the current moment, though, we are going to go back to a break, and we hope to see you for game number 2 for an overall spectated game here in the Saito Path2Pro Combine. We'll see you in a bit.
So hold our heads up high and beat the drums to what we love. Risk the follow, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of a world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last light. Hearing voices from afar, join the madness when the curtain falls. Risk it all, hold nothing back. Seize the day, we must attack. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of a world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last light. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants?
Keep moving on. Keep moving on. And they say I have a grim sense of humor.
All right, round two, Electric Boogaloo. Let's give it a shot. We're rolling on in. Don't worry, game one did happen. We did learn that the players were doing okay. They were able to finish it up, but remember, it's all about getting that information, hearing the coaches and all, so we are not too worried about that. We're headed into game number two. New draft, new sides as well. Team B is now on blue side. Team A is now on red side. Same players, though, at least for this block. RMC, I'm excited.
Overall, I'm just praying right now that everything kind of goes to plan. We actually get into game. We think we've identified the issue. It had to do with the spectator streamer mode thing, interaction. So fingers crossed we get that sorted out. We are into draft already though, and keep in mind, as Orbital mentioned, the teams have swapped. It is Team B or Team 2 on the blue side this game, and that is K, Kizno, Aojun, Array, Rovex on the blue side, and now it's Hoarder, Yu, Chochi, Mobility, and Minui on the red side. The bans, however, look kind of similar to what we saw in game 1 so far. The Oriana mandatory red side ban, the Rumble ban on the blue side, but Maokai is a new one.
Yeah, focus a little bit maybe towards that jungle role, which I did catch a little bit of the gameplay before. Both junglers were fairly active in that early to mid. I believe by about 9 minutes, we actually had about 6 kills go down. So I'm expecting, you know, a pretty hefty fighting, which I enjoy. Maybe a heftier focus in there. So the idea that these teams are getting a little bit more amped up for these games makes me very, very excited. And go ahead and also take a look. We are seeing some of the champions that were picked up before. Now, to give you a brief context of what champions were picked, Team A had actually picked the Jax, the Wukong, Morgana, Alistar, and Kaisa. For the red team or Team B, they had selected Pantheon, Trundle, Ryze, Corki, and Bard, which you're going to see populate on the sides. Those are the champions that can no longer be picked here in the Fearless. Final ban coming out here shortly as J4 is denied. Once again, focus towards that jungle role.
It kind of feels like we're just going blow for blow, sort of OP picks, OP bans taken away in the first round, and then the second ones were kind of just jungle for jungle. Now, Mbessa being taken away from Hoarder makes a lot of sense, as Jax in game 1 did kind of get stymied a little bit by K's Pantheon. Yep, that was a Pantheon top lane to kind of answer the Jax, and so they're still very respectful of Hoarder here, trying to take away champions in which he has a lot of agency and carry power.
But we're seeing some other dances come out here, and this is what we were talking about, this idea of fluctuation of how do you apply the differences in the draft. And one of the things that we mentioned is how quickly the translation of where's your primary focus each time is very, very fun to me. Earlier on, we talked about the mid laners maybe not having the highest early game or the most high impact champions. We had the Ryze versus the Morgana, a little bit more mid to late. Now we got the Azir. Now we got this champion that is very actively the needs to be the star, needs to get help, wants to get rolling later, and then we get a Nico in as well. It is that shift coming out, RMC.
Okay, and the Ziggs being hovered, locked in by Team A as well. That's interesting because it is a champion I feel like I associate with Shochi more and less with mobility, but it can technically be flexed into that ball lane. It does do phenomenally well into Azir, though. You just straight out outrange Azir. And with the Nico as well, really strong engaged, pairing the Pop Blossom with the Mega Inferno Bomb pretty much guarantees damage into squishy targets. And lots of squishies coming out. Yunara as well being locked in there. She's got a bit of a dodge, but she did get nerfed. She's not... I don't know if she wasn't S tier status. She kind of dropped down a little bit, but I have been seeing her creeping back a bit more. Her skillings are great, but I feel like her laning's significantly weaker now. Is it the U special?
Let's go! Let's go!
It's locked!
Yeah, game number 1 was a lot more, it felt like the macro. When we looked at the champions, it looked more like macro, had a lot more heavy-handed, you know, let's group up, let's do this, the CC wombo combos and everything. We're getting, like, stylistic choices now. You mentioned the Yunara getting nerfed a little bit, but still can have very big outplay potential. The Bel'Veth as well, very specific, you know, very I'm going to win in the jungle route. I love what we're seeing here in game 2.
And we said before, this is one of Yu's sort of special picks. I was told, you know, his Bel'Veth, his Zyra are champions that he's absolutely cracked on. I feel like Bel'Veth has that sort of agency, can make their own plays, not as team focus as something like the Wukong. So super happy that we get to see you on one of his signature champions as well. And it does feel like it raises a lot of questions for Team 2 in terms of how do we want to deal with this right now? There's a lot of threat and pressure onto squishier champions. There's no Trundle available. That got played game 1. Full Fearless means it's off the table. Do we start seeing Team B kind of opt for tankier things to round out their composition? Answers into the Bel'Veth, answers into the likes of the Ziggs.
I would agree with that. I mean, I think they should, honestly, at the end of the day, because you still have the Yunara, the Azir that are going to be big outplay potential, but you need something to follow up the Nautilus. And I like the Scion pickup. I actually, when I see this here, it does signal to me that Hoarder has recognized that you're not going to have a fun time topside because of where they're playing against and the understanding of the game 1 that Jax maybe didn't have that great of an impact. Now you can create impact for your jungler, for your mid, for your bot lane a little bit more by having the tankiness, by having the frontline workability there. We're looking for this B4 pickup though, and to me, I'm curious exactly where they're gonna go. Hey, okay, Kizno as well, having a treat of their own. We talked about Kizno being very setup heavy, great setup champion. This is Sejuani.
It feels like a staple of his champion pool, and we're talking about tankiness as well to be able to kind of survive the initial burst. The CC provides and the sort of engage potential fits the comp very well. You already had Nautilus for engage, but I do like to see multiple sources of potential engage. They're still looking for a top laner to play into the Scion right now. A lot of times we see sort of hyper skills just being picked up in terms of being able to survive early, match the skilling later. Technically Cho'Gath is a hyper skiller. He can skill infinitely if he beats the right target. But more importantly, I think he's got percent health shred, and he's also tanky orbital. So there is a phenomenal front line right now, along with 2 hyper skilling carries, which can pump out consistent damage in the Azir, in the Yunara. Very straightforward front to back composition from Team B here.
Yes, but I also like what Team A have done. So one of the things that they did that I think is very, very prominent, obviously that, well, okay, now it's a little bit off on the side here because I don't like that champion personally. The Ziggs as the flex pick between mid and bot side, you can go ahead and hold it, you know, especially if you're wondering, are there going to be more tanks coming out? You can get a tank shredder. That's why I was going to be excited for the R5, but the idea that we're getting a Jhin, which is not exactly well known as a massive tank shredder, against a Nautilus Sejuani and a Cho'Gath, mobility's taking a shot in the dark here, it feels like.
Yeah, and I just wonder why are we doing this necessarily? It's going to be great in lane against the Yunara. Maybe that's the idea. If you can shut down one of the carries in lane, and then it's much simpler to focus on the other carry, right? Like you can just put all the resources on taking out the Azir to take out Aljun if Array isn't fully online. So perhaps that's the thought. We did mention as well, tank frontline heavy is good in terms of trying to deal with the likes of the Ziggs and the Jhin. But it does mean you're lacking damage a little bit, consistent damage. There's just 2 sources, and neither of them are terribly mobile. They have some mobility enough to stay safe, but against this much threat, maybe not. On this side, Team A as well, compositionally, I'm looking at them. I just worry for them that if it does come down to later game team fights, I don't know if they can chew through.
Yeah, well, we'll see if it plays out.
Hey, let's go! It's working!
I'm so excited! I'm so excited! Let's go! All right, we got the game going in here. You get to see all the players, of course. We are very, very excited to see how this goes down. And again, I love the fact that you pointed out for Team A. This is maybe the thought process of, okay, you are going to play behind no matter what. You are not going to play with the optimal setup, maybe in the ADC position for mobility. So how do you as a team be, how are you able to fight back? If that's the call from the draft, I'd actually be very excited about this. But either way, that Jhin will be a make or break moment for the team. Maybe if Yu doesn't get off the ground. So I'm very excited to see what happens.
Yeah, and from what I did manage to catch from the first game, it did feel like the game snowballed very quickly. Both teams were very active and willing to kind of scrap it out. As much as the Jhin pick is a little bit puzzling, it's really all about the mid to late game that we're concerned about whether or not this pick will work. When armor starts to come through, when tankiness starts to come through from Team 2. But in the laning phase, in the early parts of the game, Jhin can certainly do a lot of pop damage, and the sort of range he has as well is pretty good for that. Okay, with the knockup.
Love this call coming in from Team B. Flash over for the extra. Can't really dash away from an auto attack. Very neatly done from Team B, recognizing that there were going to be some shenanigans coming out in the early game.
Yeah, and Team 1 was just kind of daring Team 2 a little bit and saying, okay, you know what, we're going to invade. What are you going to do? To stop us, you've got to throw a ton of resources in, and Team 2 just said, bet. We will throw in all the resources. Now, Kizno, though, has to deal with Minui just annoying him. And so, sure, you chased out you, but at what cost?
Well, the idea is the cost is I could have gotten my camps, but Minui's like, no. I was a piece of the reason we played so well back in game number 1. By the way, this 30 seconds, 40 seconds now lost for poor Kizno. This is pain. It's going to happen again. Oh, do it. Oh, do it. Yep, Kizno.
Yeah, and suddenly, okay, the invade goes south for you. Sure, first blood went over to the Azir, to Aljun, but it kind of doesn't matter. Interestingly enough as well, lane swap to come through right from the get-go. Array is solo laning against a Scion, which you can do, especially as arranged into a Scion. He doesn't have a lot of kill threat pre-6, but bot side's getting aggro.
This aggro is actually forcing mobility out here. Now Minui is in a proper rough spot. Array and forcing a flash out once again. So early aggression on either end, burning summoner spells, burning time, and burning some HP as well.
Yeah, I will say I think Team 1 is pretty happy with how all those trades have gone. Yu is significantly far ahead, now looking to invade onto Kizno. Can he smite steal?
Oh, yes, he can try. That's going to be a knockup plus his
yes, he
plus
does.
extra. But remember, there's no
He's dead.
flash. Disaster for Team B. It is going to be Team A's U starting to get the ball rolling, as we know and love this Belveth.
Yeah, answering that kill, and then you're looking across the lanes right now. Hoarder is just matching Array, is perfectly fine, just farming up in the bot side as well. Mobility is kind of chilling with it. Yes, K is a little bit ahead, but not significantly so. And in the mid lane, Shochi is abusing his range right now.
I really do like what we're seeing here overall from both squads, testing out the limits of these lane swaps, making sure to try and get some sort of alleviation in terms of the matchups here. As you mentioned, Array on the top side holding it down, now getting swapped out as Mobility moves up to that top lane. So we're seeing these shifts between everyone as the jockeying in the jungle has led to chaotic moments between everyone. K and Hoarder like, okay, Beefcake's now on the bot side, let's see what we can get.
Yeah, Rupture doesn't land from K, unfortunately, and Hoarder, because of the teleport, he comes back to lane with the additional items, with the boots, with the Ruby Crystal. K's not going to win this one. K's just holding until Array can bat back into lane. And I think for the side of Team A, their timing for these lane swaps is going to be almost better, more comfortable, certainly, especially if they could delay K at all. I don't know if Hoarder's going to be able to get in there. He's going to try, but Array's already down there.
And it's such as catch, you know, this pace of play from both teams. It's I want to get your thoughts on this specifically because obviously the rhythm of the early game has been tossed off a little bit, and we're seeing Team B specifically, or Team 2, of course, opting for these moments and these forces. I really do want to know how this is going to impact the rest of the game, or if it is going to be that neutral game at the end of the day. Mobility, though, is recognizing that, hey, maybe I don't like it here. No flash available, extra damage. It's not level 6 on the K, but Mobility is taking quite low. That's going to be a force out here as Mobility not allowed to step in the lane.
Really spicy when the supports began moving out right away. They're pressuring now Kizno, trying to get a bit of a counter jungle, we'll call it, back onto you. Minui in the area, but Minui's too low level at this time to stop the invade.
I like it. Again, these adjustments have been made where we're seeing this aggressive, overbearing, leveling, and fighting, and it's led to this point where Kizno is now the one getting caught out. Down goes Kizno once again, and I put the question to you. You weren't allowed to answer, so the players will answer for us. It's led to this position of we're taking gambles at this time around. Team 2 not winning the pot. Flash out right now on the bot side. As Nautilus goes down, it is going to be you with 3 total kills. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Hoarder gets the 1v1. Team 1 rocking it.
Well, remember, Orbital, when I told you that Sion doesn't have that much kill threat till 6?
Yes.
Yeah. Hoarder hit 6, and right there, just ran Array down. Array, unfortunately, no flash, no barrier now as well. Meanwhile, Mobility still has the cleanse. So Team 8 really swinging back from what looked like a bit of a questionable start. But the more this game goes on, the more I think that invade from you was actually really calculated. Whether or not he survives, whether or not they win the invade doesn't matter. It was just getting Team A's foot in the door, letting them get that tempo early advantage, which they've really taken such good use of, you know, with these rotations, with these roams, with these collapses, and just continuously shutting Kizno down.
I will also say it's really good coordinated communications, because the idea that, hey, we actively see Kizno now walking up into the top side, I think that's when Hoarder immediately called down. The Unstoppable Onslaught immediately went in for Array. It's really well timed. The idea that you are in a 1v1, so Hoarder, if you can hit that ult, go for it. It's all yours. Such clean action from this squad that has made what earlier was a little bit of a mistake. We talked about you going down. They have simply swung it back, and now it's going to be that pace of play of how much more can you get. The supports now actively with their ADCs, which we haven't seen for 7 minutes, by the way. I believe the ADCs have always been in this kind of 1v1 action. It's fun to see that the supports are at least around them now.
Yeah, finally seeing more standard pairings come through.
Right.
And we might see more lane swap shenanigans come through. Yeah, Array just does not want to play into Hoarder right now. Understandably so. That said, okay, we've seen from Team A, you and Minui have done a phenomenal job with the map and sort of the rotations, knowing where to gank and whatnot. But for Team B, Kizno and Rovex. Kizno is great at facilitating plays, but when he's behind, what happens? Rovex is normally really good at pulling the trigger as well, but is this the right time for it?
Oh, well, you were a little bit short on time that time. You skirting that hook as clean as possible. K eating a lot of damage from Mobility and Minui, as it looks like the grubs are going to actually be forced out here. Now, if this actually works, it is going to be a twist because look at Team 1, they are all actively here. Not only that, it's a full 5v5, which both teams might be looking to limit test a little bit. Only level 5 on Kizno, though, meaning the Glacial Prison isn't really going to be available. Onslaught, though, chasing and sectioning Zay out. Poor K is gone. That's step number 1, but a huge shift coming in from the side of Aljun, and Aljun says it might not be enough. This is gonna be a chance and a half as Team 1 look to keep their HP bars alive. Mobility chasing directly into the Emperor's face, and they will gift this kill over to Mobility, as it is Team 1 to take just about everything on the map.
Yeah, really well played from Team A, knowing their early game strength with the Bel'Veth base damages with the CC they have. And Shochi and Mobility as well were very, very safe in that play. Mobility opening up from about a screen away. And we talked about how strong Jin is in the early game, especially with that 4th shot. They played that well, but props to Aljun as well. When everything was going to crap around him, Aljun knew, well, I'm not getting back out of here. So I'm going to stay instead and actually secure that second grub. So they will get the feats of monster slaying for themselves, even though they did give over a bunch of gold, and 3,500 gold difference pre 10 minutes orbital. That's almost an item. Surely it's not all on one player, so it's going to be split up, but it's still multiple component advantages across the board for Team A, who is already winning out their lanes.
Yeah, they'll only get a start to the monster slaying feat though, because this is all about the fight afterwards. K, I'm gonna walk away here as this is a quad movement of multiple members, but this is a double knockup here. About as that is going to be the sliver of not getting hit by the last tower shot. Rovek's like, whew, I'm okay there. I'm very, very safe. Either way, though, overwhelming and over-pressuring from T2 up to that top side, trying to break down this tower as fast as possible. As you mentioned, the feats have been a big fight, but it's at least the plates for their own name.
Yeah, really well played from Horder to instantly clear the wave as much as possible. And for Rovex, that teleport, very, very questionable. He's not able to get much out. That's 4 members committing to that top side, while Team A is just shredding the bot lane turret, taking a bunch of plates, mid lane as well. And Minui on the hunt. Yo, Aljun's got to respect this. He's got flash, but you don't want to burn it for no reason.
Oh, well, you know what? This is going to be the other side. Minui says, hey, I don't have a flash to burn right now. Minui is going to be sacrificed to the Wolves or someone's happy KDA. It is going to be handed over to Aljun, who, as you mentioned before, had been that linchpin for that grub fight. This time around, starting to get some extra kills in there on that Azir that we mentioned before needs to get up to speed. Of course, there is going to be the dragon being taken by Team 1 as they match the global objective take 1-for-1.
Rovex. These supports are both playing the fire.
Oh, good flash to the right side, though, as Horder is now in a rough spot. You took a chance, you gambled, and you lost. Follow through smack ain't going to be enough, as it is going to be a shutdown here. Are you going to get the retribution, though, as I don't think you really run that fast. Locked up by Aljun. Run, Emperor. You're going to be okay. No last bop on the head.
Okay, Aljun really, really well played, as we mentioned, the grub fight, but also this entire top series is him baiting, and he's continuing to do so. Minui still no flash. If you can dodge the initial bit, you should be fine. There you go.
Good sidestep there, even from the Q drop at the end. And granted, Minui, I don't think was actively going to be able to win that battle unless it was that catch with the root, so very nicely done by Aljun to stay alive.
And we were questioning about Team B, where they were trying to come back into this when Kizno was down, when Rovex was struggling. Well, we got to see it from Aljun, but also Rovex, even with those rotates up top. Array with the slow.
And I like this. Aljun says, hey, I recalled I have the TP. Let's go ahead and fight yet again. Follow through on Sochi's life. Sochi has to burn the flash pop. Blossom going to be just to deny, but that means it's not available for the ensuing tower dive. Well played overall from the side of Team 2 as they are looking to force this top side once again. Minui went top to try and find Aljun, and instead they will lose their life. Not only that, Team 2 putting the pressure down, chasing for this first tower. It is going to be a close race. Who gets it? Top side for Team 2 as they earn the right of first tower.
Incredibly close trades right now, and they say the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, but somehow Team B made insanity work. They just keep reganking at top side, and Team A just couldn't believe it, and because of that they do fall behind. However, all those disadvantages we're talking about, the loss of tempo, what they were losing elsewhere while they were making this happen, the opportunity cost, that didn't change. Yu has been farming up a storm right now everywhere else on the map. Mobility has been picking up plates and has started picking up his item. Collector now finished as well. Team A, they did hit a bit of a stumbling block, but they are on pace to force another big fight in their favor.
And for them, honestly, everything that's gone down, they're just happy. Hey, it's only the support that's dying. You look down the line of everyone else, you still got bounties on jungle, mid, and ADC. They're still farming up, not only in the jungle role, but Shochi, 133, has been doing well for themselves. Bot side mobility has been holding off on their own. Hoarder, for their own, is still very tanky. We're looking at a level 10 Scion that is going to take almost no damage unless Aljun gets into that mix. I feel for Team 1, they are doing quite well in more than just that farm position for you.
And to be fair, I think Team B are aware of that, and they are playing around Aljun, making sure he's near Hoarder. Minue and you on the hunt, the knockup.
Good interrupt, so clean. Easy pickup, revenge for support on support action, as down goes Rovex.
Yeah, and this feels like the learning that they did from the top side, where they did leave Hoarder alone, saying, you'll be fine. Surely they won't throw 4 people at you 3 times in a row. Now they recognize that they will. Shochi.
Poor Serge.
Where is he going to run
You don't
to?
really have many options here. You're going to try and get around a corner, maybe TP your way out, but in comes Kizno, and K is just like, I got this, guys, don't worry. A final little impale. Kizno is going to smite away. They're going to try and give it to Array, but Shochi is like, please don't. Just let me die to Kizno. Good little snap at the end. Array burning the ult for it. Meanwhile, though, Shochi buying enough time for another tower to fall as his gold lead is starting to expand ever further. 4K now for Team A.
Yeah, more importantly, they also managed to pick off Aljun in that bot side. They rotated you down there, and we do get ourselves a pause orbital. Again, reminder to everybody, there are timeout rules for coaches to use timeouts. Not saying this is one of them, but just saying it is a possibility, especially when we've gotten this deep into the game. 6-10 the kill score, just under 15 minutes. A lot has happened, and we're effectively getting slightly more than a kill a minute right now.
and I like that. This goes again to our discussion of, how are these games being played? And we mentioned game number 1 was also fairly fast paced. They were consistently chasing, consistently pushing in. And this one just shows how they're doing it. I love the fact that you called it. A kill a minute means that there are constant rotations. These are not individual 1v1s all the time. Now, there have been individual, Hoarder, namely number 1, Aljun also following just here. But these do feel very coordinated. The runs to the top side, the very quick decision to see what we can get on the side of the map. I'm really curious what the comms are like, why we are in this position at 14.5 minutes of just constant aggression, who wins out in the early game. I love what this combine has already given us here for our first 3-hour block.
Yeah, for sure. But definitely seeing a lot of skill play coming through from these players. They're really going to exercise their mechanical skills. But I do like the rotations we're seeing come through as well. Again, reminder, it's a pickup game effectively. A lot of these people don't necessarily play with each other regularly or on the same team. Yes, Team B has K and Kizno on the same side. They've got Array and Rovex. But the connection we're seeing between Rovex and Kizno this game, I think, has been wonderful. And Aljun, the one player who's not been on any of their teams to split, heck, hasn't been playing in the tier 2 scene or tier 3 scene in the sort of summer split. He feels like the linchpin of this team, and he's been coordinating really well with the incoming ganks.
And let's see if they can continue onwards here, as we do have the hiccup, as we do know. The client is ever so perfect. A little hiccup after that. What we assume is that that timeout choice on one side or the other, and I wonder if it was just to discuss what went down, the consistent pacing of those global objective takes. Right now, though, we are getting the Herald being fought over 15.5 minutes. And Team 1 or Team A saying not a chance in the world. Heavy warding, heavy positioning by multiple members here also leads to another piece to take Hoarder, working his way through this top side tower, meaning a lot of gold and a lot of ramp up for A as they start to storm the rest of the enemy base.
Again, with the Belveth, one of the issues was always how quickly she can take turrets down, especially with Herald. Hoarder.
Little knockout here. K trying to interrupt Hoarder. Now stepping into the mix and recognizing that maybe they're not in the right position. They're still waiting for mobility, as that's a flash out from Hoarder. And the call is made to back away. Good
Pop Blossom
there, but that's a Pop Blossom. Flash into Cats. The shove ain't gonna land on anyone. So Yu is able to find the Emperor. And the curtain calls your doom as the rest of Team 2 are sprinting towards the win. Poor Rovex can't get the wall fast enough as they faceplant with that flash. Array dancing with the damage. Yu does not care. Yu says, what's up? You are mine. That is foregone in the blink of an eye. Team A taking it all.
You, the one player who doesn't have tier 2 experience in this lobby, and he is crushing it with this Bel'Veth. 7-1-4 right from that initial invade, tied with Minui's punishment onto Kizno through the early game where he was just kind of farming up a storm while his team was making all that action happen. It's finally paying off here. You saw in that fight the resets he was getting, the dive into the backline and Orbital. What actually stuns me the most was also mobility. Finding that onto Aojun between Minui and mobility. We talked about how the Jhin, if he can find the squishies, that's how the Jhin pick would kind of work, because you're going to have problems cutting through the tanks, but it shouldn't have been able to find the Azir. Shouldn't have been able to find the Yunar behind the Cho'Gath, behind the Sejuani, behind the Nautilus. But Minui, especially this game, I think he's getting the clutch engages. He's finding the angles, whether it be the early game or these sort of team fights.
And the willingness to make that snap call is something that we really do enjoy in a lot of support players. Not only that, the pace of play is recognized by Team A, as they are saying, we can't let these tanks get any larger. Even though Yu is strong, we want to finish this quickly, as K is barely able to get away Minui, throwing out that proto belt, but it's really the tower that they are focused on. Shochi having that little bit of a satchel should be able to clear it out very, very neatly. It is going to be another pace of play. Shochi is just waiting for cooldowns, by the way. That is what we are waiting on here. 1, 2, 3, bye-bye. It is going to be 6 towers to 1.
I think this time the satchel charge just didn't have it available. Really unfortunate. Minui looking for a Ray here.
Okay, and you force a Ray into Hoarder. What is this bear trap that has just been snapped? Yes, one goes down. Minui pays with their life, but they take the Nautilus as well on the other side, and Kizno falls. This is Team A recognizing that we have a lead, we have the kills, we have the damage. We're going to have this game.
Yeah, now Mobility's transitioning into more of that utility role, using the curtain call to slow people down. The tanks, he can't cut through them. Collector's not the greatest item for it, but Yu has Kraken Slayer and Blade of the Ruined King, and you saw what he did to Kizno there. Just absolutely melted right through him. Props to Kizno, didn't burn the flash, didn't burn the Glacial Prison. Not even sure if they were up, but I do think for Team B right now, they've lost control of the game, and kind of have since that early game, right from the get-go when Kizno was getting shut down. They found their way back in a little bit before Herald, but they've lost the threat of it again. And for them to pick it up, it will have to come off Kizno. It will have to come off of Robex. So having those playmaking tools would be critical. Having Kate be nice too.
I love the fact that we watched you like aim towards his Gromp. He was on his way through the Tri-Brush, and then you watch Hoarder go, hey, I have a bigger camp for you to farm, and just go straight in on Kai. This is
Oh my goodness.
So good. I love the fact that, again, the willingness from the side of Team A to fight and fight no matter what. They know they're in the lead and they're playing appropriately. One of the things that we always do like to talk about when we see a lot of these teams sometimes is, how do you close it out? Do you know how to close out a game once you have a lead? And these guys are showing it doesn't matter if they've only played with each other once or twice. They know how to play League of Legends.
Yeah, I guess once you hit a certain level, you know how to win the game. So you just have to work with that. Kizno behind enemy lines, they are fully aware of this. And Hoarder is so damn tanky.
He is, but of course, he's still waiting for the rest of the team to show on up. This is almost that last fight here.
Okay.
A little bit of a bomb on the back side, though. Welcome to the Thunderdome. Yu is looking for an angle in. Curtain call once again. Slow one down, and Yu gets a double knockup yet again, and allows for the fourth shot to slide on through. The curtain may has been drawn, but the last still goes to Yu, who decided there was an encore and a half. Mobility being granted the spotlight just as well, as we are looking at game 2 at 20.5 minutes to go the way of Team A. They have gotten their champions, they have gotten their kills, and they have gotten an exceptional game to show. Reason to go down, not too much available. It is a twist back though of 2. I wasn't recognizing that one. Maybe I should have. It looks like Team B still have a little bit more weight to throw around.
Yeah, Team B's, it ain't over till it's over. So they're still looking for these angles in Team A. I think got a little bit over eager. They are far ahead enough that I don't think that's going to change anything necessarily. Atakan is being pinged on. Aojun already TPing up there right from the get-go, but he's going to need a bit more help. If Aojun and Array can sit on the objective, they can absolutely shred it. Robux? What?
I don't know. Don't do him like that, producer. Don't do him like that. He's out there in a way. Rovax looking like he wanted to stop some recalls, but either way, the play is being made across the map here. As Shochi recognized that, hey, it's the Otacon being started up here. Maybe we can take another tower here. If you get that tower just a little bit lower, we can take it away. But Hoarder is here to play. Silence is the name of the game.
He's
but
here too.
Getting closer.
He's running in.
Be available. He takes it away with the Feast K, making sure that it is theirs. But how much more damage is going to come through? Pop loss on the backside. As Manui joins on in, and Aljun is denied his life. Kinsnow may also lose his as payment for the Otacon, and it's 3 lives and possibly the game as Team A wipe the top side of the map.
And that was always the issue with Rovex going down there. Team A, they're able to contest that Otacon, and unfortunately for Team B, I actually think they made the right choice sending Array back to the base. Against a Ziggs and a Jhin, they could destroy those turrets rather quickly, so they had to send somebody back, but without Array, the speed of taking the Otacon was so much slower. Array, quietly this game, has been farming up a storm. 238 CS. You look at Mobility on the other side. Mobility, who's been suffering from all these lane swaps. And heck, even Shochi, who was winning out. Yeah, Array is well ahead of them. And that's one thing I always appreciated him for, win or lose on Blue Water, was that he was able to always have relevance later game. If you can get Array to a team fight, he'll be able to do work. But he didn't get to a team fight, Orbital. He got sent back home. He had to defend the base. And he just wasn't there at the Otacon, and therefore his team gets wiped there, and Team A are still in position to just push in and or take everything else in the map.
They really just said, hey, it's Otacon, it's not that big of a deal. And I don't think any team usually has the opportunity to say Otacon is no big deal, but they did. They got the kills, now they're moving down for a dragon. That is up, of course, it is Mountain, it's not the biggest in the world, but it is nice little rebuttal. And so now we have a timeout here. We are looking at the eyes of most likely Team B saying, hey, what do we want to do? And so if you are the coach, RMC, and I'm excited to ask you this question because I don't normally get to, what would you think the coach is saying right now, depending if you're on Team B or Team A?
I actually don't know if this is a Team B timeout. I felt like the earlier timeout, when things were starting to slip away, would have been more likely to be a Team B timeout. At this point, if you're Team B, you're kind of just saying, let's look at the next game, because you're almost 10,000 gold behind. Mountain Drake is not the fanciest Drake, and yes, you know, like it's a much more win-more Drake, but given how we're seeing Hoarder and you play right now, it could very well make Hoarder immortal at this point. And for you, with how aggressive he's playing, any sort of defensive stats would really, really help him survive, because we've been seeing him just get those resets, heal back up, and just become absolutely obnoxious for Team B to deal with. So if anything, I think it might be a Team A, you know, maybe kind of looking into what happened around there, how they should have played that out. The Otacon was a little bit risky, the way they actually opted to kind of go for it, the back and forth a little bit there. So yeah, I think more likely Team A is just, you know, fixing things if it's not a connection issue.
I can agree with that one. And the idea that, hey, you know, we wanted it clean, we got really close, maybe we over pushed underneath those towers just a little bit too quick. However, we are taking a look at this game. We are about 22 and a half minutes in. We are just waiting for a little bit of that hold up. The client decided, okay, we get to see the live game here as you just slowly takes their second solo Drake of the game, by the way. That is how far you has been this entire time. 2 solo Drakes with ease, probably faster than 3 of the other teammates combined.
And understandably so, he's 11, 2, and 10. He doesn't need help.
This is why we were talking about it earlier too during the break. It's like, it's you.
Yeah, and that's going to be phenomenal. I would love to see you really start to show off, you know, in tier 2, in tier 3 a little bit more. I do feel like in North America, we do have a lot of jungle talent in general. So you has a lot of competition that he has to kind of get through, but at least his name's getting out there. And this combine would be a great start to, you know, kind of make sure that teams are aware of him, that he is a prospect to be picked up. For Team A, though, they do have to close this game out still. They don't have to wait for Baron, though. They did take down the inhibitors earlier, so there's only this top side, really, that they have to siege up. And with how strong they are, they could brute force it. That's kind of how they screwed up the first time. But they could just siege it up as well. They've got themselves the Ziggs, they've got themselves the Jhin, both to outrange.
I love the fact that Mobility's playing off on the side, as we mentioned, the big playmaker to start things off. Not going to have Flash, but does have Proto Belt in time. And I like how Team B are actively trying to defend. They are doing the right thing, putting Aljun in the mid lane, trying to farm up a little bit more, but also utilizing that tower to just kind of play extra wave state here. So it's not a bad form for them to be in. It's just, you're still in a difficult position. No matter the way that we put it, you are down a lot of gold, a lot of CS, and a lot of levels as well. But for at least 30 seconds, they have held off death.
They're doing really well, as you said, with the setup to try and just stop all these minions from pushing in. There's no Baron necessarily to play for another minute. So for Team B, this is actually a good time to just kind of farm up and collect as much incoming CS as possible. They're also just kind of holding out till the super minions are gone, and then maybe they have a chance. Whereas for Team A, they're not wanting to overstep their siege right now. If anybody does go down, it does open up the potential for a Baron sort of comeback for Team A. So ideally what I'd like to see is them just kind of clearing out the approach towards the Baron. I do believe they've kind of done that, but there are still quite a few wards in there. Maybe try and facilitate a pick. If they win one more fight, if they get 2 more kills, I think that's all Team A needs to be able to close this one out.
Quite right. And we'll see who it goes to as well. Now I'm just curious who's going to pick up those kills. I mean, mobility is 5-0 and 13. The man's unkillable right now and is willing to play the back line, you know, as we said, support, but still wants to be in the limelight. Currently second in the kill board. It is going to be a Baron started off Rip, though, and the rest of the team now wandering in. They only see about 3, though, so this is going to be difficult for Team B. They're going to step into you, taking a lot of damage here, though. I don't think they're really excited for this, so Baron is actually stopped. Interestingly enough, it's the current call instead, as it's more of a bait pop. Lost from behind, only catching 1, though. So Manui is going to be obliterated where they stand. Rovak still alive for the time being, so a window of opportunity for Team B.
Yeah, really good patient play from Team B, and that was the key person they needed to track, was Minui. It's not Hoarder. Hoarder will run in the front. If you get a body in front of him, you stop the unstoppable onslaught. The name, kind of fake. Whereas Minui is the issue, and with the Nico, it could be anything. It could be a ward, it could be a minion, it heck could be a blast cone or some sort of block. So that was who they were tracking, and they were able to kind of retreat in great order, making sure their tanks were up front, taking the curtain call. And just like that, Team B extends their time, and their inhibitors are back up a roll. That was the big timer we were saying that they were waiting, watching for. It's there. They get to push out, they get to set up vision, and they get to contest this Baron much more comfortably.
One of the other things, we mentioned the tankiness factor. We mentioned that for a lot of the damage output, Shochi and mobility, they don't do great shredding through a lot of those things. This really is just you in the late game that's going to be real happy.
Shredding.
Yep, he is. And so that's what we're really watching for. Baron is already gone this time around for free, no problems. He's going to be real happy about that one. Where do they put the Baron, though? As right now, Team B trying to get at least something else. But quite honestly, this wave, I don't think you want to take a chance on it. Aljune's saying, yes, we need to get something here. He's going to try and power through, but recognize that the super minions, super powered up minions are here.
Yeah, and with Aljun, I don't like that hesitation that we saw a little bit there. Kind of getting baited in by Rovex, and I don't know what the comms were looking right there, but it does mean he'll be a bit slow to this defense. And Team A, they're just racing it down.
Oh, what is this call? Ensemble Onslaught straight into the front line, just trying to clear a little bit of space. So Border was maybe looking for a chance and a half. Rovex is getting a little bit of a hook back down, but this is that split that we were mentioning before, the pull of Team B as their base is under siege.
And that call was just saying that we know Aljun's not there. We know Aljun can't get there for at least another 10 seconds because we're chasing. He's got nowhere to recall. So they were trying to get as much damage as they could down. Thankfully, K is starting to hit the point where he's tanky enough. Heart's still 249 stacks that he could eat that, still stay up front and stop the minions from actually aggroing the turret and hitting the turret there. So Team B, great defense. Mountain Soul being taken by you again on Rip, soloed out. That's going to be Mountain Shield. I don't know overall if that alone will be enough. The Hoarder is already immortal even without this. It'll help you with these dives, but it does feel like Team A stalled out a little bit even with this Baron buff right now.
I really do think they are almost giving too much respect. Granted, there can never be too much respect, I think, in a game such as this when you are trying to amplify and showcase your ability to understand where the game is currently at in game states, right? But I do agree they have stalled out very heavily. Team B has been given so much time. We're starting to see the level 13s, level 17 actually on Array, who I didn't get to mention before, but 4 has been stacking up 334 CS. One of the main shredders on this side and saying, hey, I'm 4 items deep. I can be a problem. So for Team B, they haven't just stalled, they've given time to ramp up in multiple regards.
Yeah, heck, 5 items if we're counting the boots, right? So I think Array's very comfortable. You on the hunt. He's been wrapped around right now.
And I think they're just going to try and all in this. Al June saying, hey, maybe we can get this chance. Kids they're saying, yes, I can do the same. Good flash out to safety, though, and you barely pulls that one off. Now they're pulled right back. Team B going back on defense up to this top side of the map. It is the last inhibitor tower that is currently still in available. Mobility, though, helps out to Shred. Good fruit down onto K. But again, K is a very, very tanky boy. Hoarder now helping to clear out. They're looking to get all the inhibitors down, which is the safest play that they can choose to go for right now, and they will go ahead and complete their mission. 3 inhibitors down, and waves pushing in. Oh, another little bomb. Mega Inferno doesn't kill, though.
That was a big bomb, bro. That one landed.
Yeah, that was.
That might be GG. It might yet be GG, though, as supers are going to be streaming in every single lane. Team B, they need to go for the Hail Mary now. Just look for that big play. Look for that huge engage. They don't have the tools.
They don't, because the Pop Blossom on the other side. There was a Root Plus, and that is Manui once again to signal the fight. But Array still off on the other side, trying to do damage. Hoarder is tanking it all, though, right now. And that gold lead has worked so well. Mobility now able to turn around. Curtain Call being used. Strikes one, miss. Firing away Array on the flip. Okay. There's going to be a hook back in as fight number 2 occurs. But Team A now, after finishing off 1 and 2, Aljun gone, the Emperor, it will be the next time it's falling. Array doing his best to hold on and might be able to get more, but it's you versus Array, and you says you're not me. GG's for game number 2 for Team 1.
It was Array versus the world until you said, hold up, I'm right here. And you able to get in there and clean that up. But wow, bro, that was a lot closer, I think, than what we were expecting. At that 15, at that 20-minute mark, it looked like Team A just kind of ran away with the game at that point. But that's what I'm talking about when I talk about how Array is phenomenal at team fighting, that he's fantastic. He just get him to the fights, and you saw that towards the end. He didn't really have a front line. A lot of his team was struggling at that point to just try and defend the turrets, to try and stay alive. Kizno in the fountain. K was at the fountain, but Array would just roll back to the side, willing to still step up, be that threat a little bit. And you can see the glimmers of hope. You can see the skill there, but I think Team B, at least in this camp, right from the get-go, we're just on the back foot.
And I think that's what happens whenever, I mentioned before, I love to call them gamble plays at the end of the day. These are moves that I feel normally wouldn't see as excessively. We saw invade over invade over invade and full commits in there as well, which I enjoyed, but it does lead to that moment of we do have to kind of figure out our steps once again. And I will say, for the last about 3 minutes of that game, they defended very neatly. Normally, we'd see the base fall apart, I think, a little bit faster. So not only a raised team fight, but the calls to understand how to defend appropriately. And there's not much you can do, right, against the weight of supers, against the weight of a Baron and all that stuff. But they did what they could to the max efficiency. So going into game 3, I'm curious. Game number 1, a lot more macro with the draft. This time around, a lot more hyper individualistic, a lot of almost mainstay unique picks. For game 3, what do you think we get, RNC? What do you think these drafts are going to be like?
I have no clue what the coaches are thinking of doing right now. It does fight the coaches, though, on this very first day, very first block of the Cyto Combine, are allowing the players to kind of have take the reins a little bit in terms of the drafting and what they want to show off. So I hope that we get to see maybe some other sort of pocket picks to come through. To be fair, I think a lot of these other players, they don't necessarily identify or have that sort of signature champion quite as much as we know you has with this Belveth. But if we are looking at champions for some of these players, I'm kind of looking at Minui to pull out something weird in the support role. He has an absolutely amazingly huge champion, Ocean, that he can kind of whip out. I'd love to see something a little bit wild from there. Maybe Rovex goes back to the Yasuo combo that we've seen in the past before from him. I doubt it. I don't think Array likes it, but I'd love to see something like that. And the other thing I'd love to see is Kizno get a normal matchup, because poor Kizno has been dealing with a lot of random things coming out from you. Like, when's the last time he's played against a Belveth? When's the last time he got invaded that heavily, right? We've not gotten to see Kizno show his usual sort of facilitative gameplay, where he kind of gets to just set up his lanes for success, and he himself is not the focal point.
Maybe we get to see that here. The spotlight will change and shift throughout the entirety of this combine, as this is only day number 1 and series number 1 as well. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, the coaches will leave the lobbies and the players will get down and dirty. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Now listen, fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end? There's way more to avenge. Oh, 50 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Call down awakening to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory to live forever. Yeah, bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer.
Final game of this block with these 10 specific players, and we've had a treat so far. Game number 2 was a thrill ride of epic proportions. One way or another, we ended the game at about 28 minutes, which scared me half to death. Now going into game number 3, though, we had the team swap back to the same sides as before in game number 1, but obviously 10 champions on either side, so 20 altogether are now banned. RMC, I'm excited to see what we get here.
For sure. And the thing is, so far it's been Team A just dominating this particular block so far. And when you looked at the names, or at least when I looked at the names between the two sides, I did think it was going to be fairly equal. In fact, if anything, I was thinking maybe Team B would have a little bit of synergistic advantage with K and Kizno being from the same team, and Rovex and Array actually being a bot lane duo that is actively playing in the NACL. But no, it's been just Team A kind of running away with it now. We're swapped back again. Team A on the blue side, they get first pick. Team B on the red side with potential counter pick.
And we've seen these shifts in a lot of the drafts and the dynamics throughout. Because remember, it's not about whether you win or lose. It's all about how you play the game. Quite literally, these coaches that are sitting in there, these scouts that are watching, are actively looking at measures outside of a win and loss. Game number 1, we saw a lot of priority around team play. A lot of champions that synergize very well together, that can take over, make a wombo combo, basically snowball your way to victory in that essence. Game number 2, hyper individualistic. We saw some really outstanding individuals play the game. Now in game number 3, I'm curious what we get as we see the J4 ban, the Rumble, the Poppy, and the Nocturne. So heavy emphasis right now as you is getting focus fired in the bans.
I almost feel like Team B is getting a little bit PTSD from the dives that we've been seeing happen from Team A.
Yep.
And that's why we're seeing a lot of these picks being taken. Like, never mind, Zaya is kind of the opposite side. Maybe they're trying to set up for some dive of their own here. We're looking at sort of junglers that are still available and really good at dive. Xin Zhao is still up there. Xin Zhao, Pantheon, and Wukong used to be sort of the unholy trinity of the jungle there. And Xin Zhao is still available. But that's not the problem, because Orianna, of course, that was left up. And Orianna right now, her laning phase is fantastic. She's still very impressive. Yes, they nerfed her. All it did was change her build path.
And so that's what we're going to see first. And now you recognize that, hey, things are going to be a little bit awkward here. So you have to take power pick versus power pick. Xin Zhao being dropped down in that lower side, or in the opening pickup here. But that is still a lot of junglers taken away. Now we're taking away another lock of that wombo combo style. We've seen Gallios be utilized in a lane neutralizing fashion, which now puts Aljun in this position of, I need to rotate out to help the rest of the team. But there's the ball delivery system that you and I have talked about when it comes to an Orianna. It might not be the Wukong, but it's just close enough. And then a quick slam of the Mbessa. Man, these are moving quickly.
Yeah, there's blitzing right through here. And the Ambassador that's been taken away from Hoarder throughout most of the series, finally on the table, and that is picked up. And with the Ambassador as well, not so much the ball delivery system, but the shield that the ball gives you that is so easily reapplied is massive. It really allows champions that go diving like Ambessa to kind of get there. You add that with the Eclipse sort of shielding and proccing as well, and suddenly Hoarder is going to be a consistent backline threat. K answering with the Camille is an interesting one. Camille, look, her synergy with Galio is indisputable. The lockdown and then just single target, just dog pile on, great. But Camille herself feels a little bit undertuned right now to me. At least every time I've seen her, she's been on the losing side of a lot of matchups. Ever since they kind of nerfed or got rid of Divine Sunderer and nerfed Trinity Force a little bit, she just doesn't have the kick I feel like she needs to be viable. So into this Mbessa pick, It definitely feels like a challenge that K is issuing to Hoarder. I just don't know if I agree that this is the better side of that counter pick challenge, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that one. It almost feels like they're just following in suit with what matches with the rest of the team. The Xin Zhao and the Galio and the Camille can all make a very nice dive composition here, which is why we saw that that Kaisa, or not Kaisa, the Zaya, kind of focus there in the first round. Now we see double ADCs, total, so the Lucian and the Sivir both banned away. A lot of these mobility enabling champions, no pun intended there, as we look towards these last bans to come out. Last bans last time were around the top side, but mostly around support, and I wonder if we're going to get double support bans out here as well.
I think Braum needs to be removed by Team A right now, specifically. Or, yeah, because or actually both the teams kind of want Braum off the table. It's a really strong pickup, and because Team B gets the first pick of their supports, yeah, I think that one's going to be kind of iffy because both teams do have pretty strong dive to come through. If you can grab Braum and, like as a Warden champion plus some sort of hyper carry, it is going to become a massive issue. Yep, sure enough. There we go.
Very, very exact on that one, recognizing that pace of play and where the draft was aiming towards. It now leads into a Rakan. Now, the Rakan last time we saw banned out in game number 2, very good all-in and dance back out champions, so you now have follow-through. The Team B composition is pretty much set in stone. We're going forward whether you like it or not, and you're going to have to fight us in that same vein. So what do you opt to go for? And Aphelios cover for mobility. It's time for mobility to show their stuff this game around.
Okay, and that was my question when I saw the Aphelios, is what do you pair it with? We see a lot of Aphelios Thresh, but I don't feel like Thresh is enough to get you out of danger when there's a Camille on the other side. And Braum is gone, so they've gone for an Enchanter instead. Janna. We rarely see her in pro play, but I've always thought she is pretty good. The Monsoon is really good at disengaging and creating that space you need. It's a great pickup here, and most importantly, it knocks Camille out of her Hexstep ultimatum, breaking it, which means that you can actually potentially get away. For Team B, they are looking for an AD carry for Array. I'm going to be honest, I don't think it matters. Anything with a little bit of safety built in and or a bit of tankiness will be fine. You just have to survive the potential Vi Shockwave combo, and you're good to go. Ezreal has the mobility to kind of stay safe. I don't know if he's got enough health or tankiness. He doesn't have a shield bow option in his build to be able to survive this. So he'll have to position really, really well. But given from what we've seen from Array so far this block already, I do like the pickup. He's been very good individually, and Ezreal means he doesn't have to rely on his team quite as much.
Of course. And if we see those lane shenanigans again that we saw in game number 2, where we saw swap after swap after swap, everyone kind of chasing each other's tail, the Ezreal might come into play a little bit more than we expected in getting over some of those walls, really keeping themselves safe in some priority fashion. At the end of the day, though, these are, once again, the focal points have shifted. We've now seen Team B actively say we're chasing down one player. We've seen Team A now put a lot of eggs in the bottom lane basket, which mobility has done so great in the individual, support style. We talked about the Jhin in game number 2. This time around, it's like all eyes down here, whether you like it or not.
I feel like my eyes are drawn more to the top side, actually. This Camille.
Oh, okay.
To be fair, though, like I said, a lot of it's from the fact that I don't feel like Camille is that good a pick right now in the current meta.
True.
But Camille is a champion that wants to carry a game. Back when Camille was meta, she could single-handedly take over a game. And you look at sort of the targets that she has in team fights, the Aphelios, who is very vulnerable to dive, right? The joke was 200 years of experience to build this champion. About 200 years gives you very brittle bones, and he absolutely melts whenever anybody just kind of piles onto him. Orianna as well is a little bit vulnerable. She at least has a little bit of shielding, but realistically, if a top laner gets on top of her, she's not winning that trade either. So there's a lot of potential for K to be the hero of Team B right now. He's up against Hoarder, a player we've said multiple times. He's really good at laning. He's really, really solid. Give him something that scales, and he'll be an absolute menace on it. This series, game 1, the Jax got counterpicked by the Pantheon. I think K did a good job holding down Hoarder. Game 2, he was put on a tank, a Scion, where I'd argue that Hoarder won sort of the lane swapping shenanigans that we were describing, and he did a great job in terms of frontlining and being that immortal distraction in fights. But now he's given him Bessa. That's a champion he can carry on. So he's been given the reins as well to kind of take on this one. And we talked a little bit about the shielding that Orianna can give him. He's another option as in terms of a ball delivery system. Perhaps even a better one in that he has more mobility, he can kind of get around a little bit more. He's not just a point and click and, okay, the target is going to be this person. You can kind of swap targets if need be on this Mbessa.
See if they can pull it off right now. We are getting set for game number 3. And I do want to give a big shout out as we're here with the Saito GG Combine Path2Pro. This is only series number 1. This is only block number 1, actually. So at the top of the hour, we are actually what was supposed to be starting right now, I believe, is going to be happening. No, I lied. A little bit later. In the top of the hour, next hour, we actually going to see block 2 start on the day, and you'll see a fresh 10 players as well as some fresh faces on the broadcast as well. So there's a lot in store here across the next coming days, and we got to see a lot of what these players have to offer. So please do not go anywhere after this game. I know the players might leave, but my God, are we in for a treat and a half. So let's go ahead, dive on in, and keep in mind, last time we had quite literal 3-minute kills. You decided that they want to invade. I don't know if we're going to get that again.
No, I don't think we will. And I don't think we'll get lane swap shenanigans either. I think everybody's pretty happy with sort of their lane assignments and are going to be comfortable with that one. So Orbital, I don't know what happened in game 1. Unfortunately, I did miss the very beginning of it, so I don't know if there was level 1 shenanigans, but I'm expecting this to be about as standard as we're going to catch on this stream in this block.
I mean, Kizno even wandering away didn't really have the rest of the team as the 5-point kind of breaks down here, so I would agree with you on that point. Only a little bit of damage being given back to Aojun from Shochi's side, and it'll be a nice little test at the end of the day. I love the fact that you pointed out that everyone's pretty happy with the current lane state, so it is going to be one of those more narrow focals of, will Kizno or you be that break, or will they be the one that tilts the scales in their team's favor?
Yeah, or will the mid laners maybe pop off a little bit? I feel like Aojun last game had a great game on the Azir, but unfortunately that really wasn't the focal point. And yes, like, he held them through the mid game, which was great, but it became more about a rage towards the end. And for Shochi dominated early with the Ziggs, but as the game went on, it became more and more about you, less and less about Shochi. With Orianna, you can get some of those fantastic shockwaves while still having these sort of strong laning dominant style play. And into a Galio with Orianna, you weave a lot of auto attacks in. So I actually don't really think Galio is the best on paper counter for Orianna. It's more just like, okay, I'm going to play it safe and play more for utility later on.
And it falls right back to that game 1 style where we saw Aojun on that rise, scale into mid to late, or, you know, at least have more priority in the mid to late. Top side, though, as you were mentioning, watching Hoarder and K dance around each other. We're still waiting for that level 2, level 3, where they get more of their abilities to play with. But it is going to be fun to see where First Blood actually comes out. Hoarder late to that level 2. Feels a little bit bad, but K says that wave is perfectly in line for us. He's going to be real happy about that CS potential lead that might be coming down the road. A little bit of dance on the bot side, though, as we see Arovex and Array dishing out damage and taking some back as heals come out as well.
Yeah, it looked like Minui took a little bit more damage early on and had to play a bit safe, but once he hit level 2, especially with the Aphelios, Janna is a huge force multiplier, but she doesn't have a lot of early skill expression. It's kind of just, do I shield at the right time to nullify damage while maximizing the AD boost on my AD carry? Beyond that, landing the tornadoes, hey, if you can land them, you're amazing. But the charge up is kind of long if you're only using it for the knock up and not really for the damage. It's not great poke either. It is quite mana intensive.
Well, it reminds me, though, I mean, when we see some of the Jannas coming about, aggressive Jannas are very frustrating to deal with, even with the tornadoes, even without it. It can be destructive if you get a good squad on, and we can already see that. Mobility and Minui taking over the spot side. Mid lane Shochi already showing the difference between a range and a melee, and being pretty happy about that challenge. So for Team B, Team 2, they are going to have to be playing off on the side just a wee bit, and trying to kind of bring themselves back into this, as already we see a 300 gold lead that might be increasing over time.
So, bro, from what I'm hearing, sounds like Team A's got pushing mid. It's got pushing bot. To me, that's a signal for Kizno. That's a dinner bell. You've got lanes you can get. There are places you can go. Yep. And not to mention Aphelios Janna, for all we're hyping them up in terms of their late game, their ability to trade, they are not mobile champions. So they are very, very punishable. To a lesser degree, so is Orianna as well. Yes, she has a speed boost. Yes, she can slow you down. But if she's pushing up that far, you can burn a flash in the first visit, burn her life in the second.
Just that, be able to get some taunts down from Aojun as well. Top side, though, these two have been dancing a very fine line game. He's all Hoarder trying to go back with a little bit of recall, but it might not work out, as right now that's a level 5 versus level 4. But Mobility's here to play because of the rotations, and it's the call perfection coming out as Hoarder takes first blood.
I feel like you could see K's like moment of realization there, where it's like, wait, why are you playing so aggressively? You lost a trade. You're not gonna win.
Yep.
Oh, it's not about you, is it?
Yep.
And that's the for you. It's a 5-player game. It's a team coordination, and you love to see it. We talked a lot about the communications that are coming through, and that sort of rotation, that's our communication. That's clean. Shochi with the rundown.
Oh my gosh. Good heal coming out of Rovex as well. But that is Shochi once again winning this lane matchup because of the supports. It's a match for blow. And unfortunately, it's still Sochi that's coming out in terms of Team B trying to get some sort of lead. Remember, Shochi, Aljun doesn't want to recall here. Aljun just went back, picked up her fillables, has already burned through both chunks, which is why we are seeing you around this area as well. So Team B is starting to recognize that they are losing control of this mid lane. They need to find some aspects, or else Yu is going to use that, as you were mentioning earlier, for Kizno to invade the lanes. Yu wants to invade the jungle and see what it can do.
And Shochi as well, just being able to shut down the Galio does more than affect your lane, right? Because Galio wants to use the heroic entrance into other lanes to kind of influence them, or into these early skirmishes. But if Aljun is being kind of kept low all the time, even when he hits level 6, which he has, ulting anywhere becomes incredibly dangerous. You might just show up just in time to kind of feed a kill over to the other team. So Aljun kind of forced the back constantly, look back to lane. He's starting to fall further and further behind. Shochi going with the lost chapter early, thank goodness. Rod of Ages doesn't really work right now because of the nerfs. Rovex, that's a lot of damage actually.
Oh, and it forces Array to
Yeah.
get caught up in that battle as well. Nice burn of the heal. Rovex, though, have an unsealed spellbook, but I love how Yu is continuing this constant aggression. Of course, now because you did that engagement, we are seeing a bot side scuttle take for Kizno. But it is the plates all around that we're seeing the dance between Mobility and Minui as they try and get some gold for themselves in the 2v1.
And also, Team B had just more numbers. They know it. They see Mobility and Minui top. Minui's not running unsealed spellbook. There is no risk of a TP. So they're able to kind of just push in aggressively. I really do like that gang from you, though, because getting Array and Rovex down is a potential kill. Good taunt.
It's gonna be the taunt, though, and the catch. Shochi shockwaves in. Doesn't have to expend the flash. Really, really well timed there. Kizno and Aljun have to go back to safety. K, though, playing with fire as they dance within 200 HP of their life.
K has no teleport either, so we'll have to take the Walk of Shame back to the long lane. It will probably be bot lane as we see Array and Rovex already heads up play, rotating into that top side right from the get-go. The AD carry matchup portal is kind of interesting because we have seen metas in the past where Aphelios and Ezreal were sort of the top AD carries, and traditionally what has happened is Ezreal kind of wins out a little bit, you know, early on, and then he gets the Sheen, he's winning that, and then he goes into his power trough. And then once he completes his Mirror Mana, that's when he kind of spikes back and wins out. But Aphelios generally scales better in the long range, and late game becomes a range issue, whether can the Ezreal fight from safety, or does Aphelios kind of get into the fights and pop people? But that wasn't the red-white meta. Nowadays, it's a lot about Infernum and landing the big critical ultimate bouncing on the entire enemy team. And for those reasons, I do feel like Array and Rovex, or Team B as a whole, need to try and shut down Mobility early. So far, it hasn't happened. I feel like Mobility is getting the free scale he wants. If he hits that 2-3 item spike with this Aphelios, the team fights are going to get a lot tougher, especially when Team B is mostly clumped out melee champions.
There's a danger factor that they are going to have to focus on. Of course, right now it's about the grubs, as we see one grub taken away. The rest of the team wants to fight it out, but okay. Slightly predicting that jump back in with the public execution, but that's going to be a nice little dodge in. Kizno saying hello, ready for the battle. It is going to be a heroic entrance to save and stave off battles. The Mobility comes in to say even more. Kizno with a really nice Crescent Guard trying to get this all safe, but there is going to be the big ult in. Moonlight Vigil, though, not going to do enough because of the Crescent Guard, but the rest of Team B have to scatter. They were able to only grab one of those grubs, so it is Team A to actually take the benefit. Array! Extra shielding by Minui! Point and click Cloud to the backside. That's going to kill number 2. Tower Dive coming out, as that's going to be the feat of warfare, and one fell swoop Hoarder with that 1v1.
Look, bro, we can talk tactics, we can talk strategy, we can talk about how the communication from Team A was beautiful on that top side, but bot side was just straight solo bolo, baby. You can't give Hoarder and Bessa like that. It's just too good. 2 kills up in the bot side. Let's go back top, though, because I do like what Team A did and how measured they were with that fight. It's worth noting as well, there was no shockwave for Shochi, which is kind of the big tool for Oriana's, but he used it in lane earlier to survive the initial gank. So that was just them kind of taking their time. And Minui, in lane, we talked about how the tornado, it's really hard to land. But in that fight, Minui was disrupting it so much that Team B, they were just taking a lot of damage. They weren't able to kind of turn around, not able to find their engages onto that team. And because they're so short range, it's really only Array pumping out damage otherwise versus both Shochi and Mobility being able to kind of get those shots in from range while Team B is struggling to engage.
Such a scary threat here. The idea that your singular damage threat is going to be off on the wayside. Kizno now looking for a Dragon Steel, hiding inside the brush, but Shochi's about to check it, so no Dragon Steel that will be made easily. Choosing off Barrage around the side, and that was enough to force you out with the rest of the team here. Kizno is able to look for that dragon. It is just a cloud, but it's one for the books as you're able to get a global objective for yourself.
Yeah, Team A, getting a little bit too hypey, not skipping steps with the setup a little bit there, and Team B, great punish for that. Thank you for the leash. Taunt doesn't land from Aojun, and that just means Shochi's just going to fire shots into him as he's walking away.
Really what we're watching here is Hoarder once again as we swap back to the mid lane. Nope, bot side is where our camera wants to go. K dives right back in, but you're a little bit low HP. Kizno already used the jump though, so Hoarder's like, I don't know what you guys are fighting for. I'm fine right now. Decently healthy and no problems abound means this bot side is perfectly okay.
Yeah, Hoarder has the Eclipse, so I fully agree with your analysis there. He's saying, come at me, bro. Array?
Well, top side though, Array might have a little bit of a different time. What a great save! That was Rovex saying the tower dive is wrong, and Minui trying to sideline and dance Monsoon for half a beat, but the beat is almost gone. Array can't follow through though, and Mobility's chasing in. Mobility does not have flashes, about a second off of cooldown. There it is.
Here's Minui go.
On the wrong side of the map, and guess what? Winds of War take the wind right out of Minui's sails.
And now Mobility running for the hills as well. He's got flash. Is it enough? Nope, it is not.
You're not going to chance it. It's going to be Death. K finishes it off. So a mistake, but amazing save by Rovex leaves Team A a little bit of miss on the top side.
And I just can't help but feel that they were betting on a crit to come through on that Inferno from Mobility. Otherwise, it just felt like they didn't have enough damage. You saw how healthy they kind of were when that dive went through, and it's just so questionable. Hoarder TP into the top lane now. Doesn't want to give K any sort of leeway whatsoever. And now with boots as well, the magical boot footwear completed for Hoarder. This thing's actually really rough for K. You can't win the trade. You can't win extended fights. And you can't even run away fast enough. It's going to be hookshot every single time to create that space.
Especially if you don't get some of these W's out. The leg sweep is so important to get that extra damage trying to pump it out, even if the Eclipse is there. You're not winning any of those. So our focus now drawn back towards this mid lane. Eyes out as we do see a convergence factor. 4 members of Team B are here. At least with Aojun now wandering back to the bot side. Mid laners have focused down on the bot, and everyone is wandering on their merry way. With no global objectives to play for, it has been a slow, low grind to see exactly where things like to go. But K, once again, in a rougher position with a decent wave against them.
Yeah, those minions are just chipping away at that plate. They've almost gotten away that full entire plate on just that push alone. So I feel like we spent a lot of time talking about this top side where it has been dominant. But Aojun
decide to step in, especially with this convergence here from Team B. I love using that word, and I will continue to use it because of the weight that everyone is here. That's a flash forward into their own entrance as a slam down. Really nice catch. But that's all they're going to find. You was there to stop any further tower push. Do you actually want more? I don't think you're actually going to enjoy that one, even though the tornado landed on so many. The monster to save as well. I think you kind of burned that for not. Dove back in and just lost flash.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you and Shochi just not quite on the same page there. You're not able to stop the dive from coming through, and Shochi had the inkling that it was coming. You saw him dissonance and kind of run away, and then he saw you backing up and was like, we can do this. No, they couldn't, unfortunately, and Team B able to find kills back on the bot side, kind of close that gold gap a little bit and answer what Hoarder's is doing on the top side, because Hoarder just took first turret pretty much solo with just the pressure that he's been putting down on K this entire game.
That's worked really, really well here. I mean, Hoarder is so happy. He's able to go back, bank on so much gold. I don't even want to know how much gold you currently have. It is,
well, our observer will make you see it.
1,500. 1,500 you get a bank at. That is a paycheck and a half for yourself. Yeah. That is, full boots upgrade, extra, you're good, you're happy.
Yeah, with the Tunneler as well, just continue to maintain that edge over K. For now, though, Team A elsewhere on the map is struggling a little bit. I think Team B has done a great job kind of balancing things out. Even Aojun has managed to stabilize his lane a little bit. Like, he's not winning it, but as the Galio, when you're going to tank build, you can afford to lose a little bit of CS. You can be down a little bit of gold and still have that impact. Array is still farming up a storm. Kizno's been able to maintain his not just CS lead, but his experience and level lead as well. So I think Team B might just kind of be holding out for that dragon, looking for a bigger fight for themselves, especially if they can get onto mobility early. I don't think Hoarder's quite at the point where he can carry a team fight as the primary sustained damage threat yet.
No, not on your own. Now, if Yu's around the corner, it might be a little different, but really you're watching this mid lane as that's the Crescent Guard to keep Manui close, but it's not going to be enough to finish you off. Very nice sidestep from the two-shot barrage, but here comes you, saying now it's a battle. You have no ult to save redemption, just a bit too late. And it is going to be Team A to take that kill.
No heroic entrance available for Aojun to help out. Didn't want to commit the teleport either, so Team A managed to turn the tides on what was a pick initially from Team B. K with a beautiful clutch flash.
Ezreal ult. Oh, wait, no, wrong team. Taking a look at this one, it is going to be a TP straight into the top as Shochi holds down this bottom side, but I do agree this top side, there has to be an answer. Team B needs to have some sort of response as K is just getting obliterated in this laning phase.
Yeah, and we talked about it in draft, the fact that Hoarder now on a champion with agency, not really being counterpicked. I don't think that effectively. Like, yes, technically counterpick was on K, but I don't, as I already said, I don't think Camille was necessarily the right answer here. And Hoarder making good on the opportunity. Aojun waiting for cooldowns, has flash, uses it defensively.
Oh, and you can keep going. You have flash behind you. You're going to follow through, and it's all about how much more you're going to get. Kisio, though, saying maybe I can get something. Manui's here for the divergence. Very nice monster to slow them down. There might be a jump forward as Shochi cannot get away. Still, though, it's a price of 1-for-1. Guess what, though? Hoarder with the GP saying we're going to dance this one out. And guess what? I'm bringing my 6K gold with me. Flash directly on top of Array's face, who cannot flash or barrier in time. And Kizzo's like, ah, crap, I don't have much more in the bank. However, redemption was enough to slow them down, extra burn around. But for Team A, these are extra bits and pieces because mid lane is where the tower fell. Everywhere you look, Team A are making a play for something and winning.
Yeah, and Team A is just more efficient about it. Team B had to commit so much resources in the bot lane to make that happen. It starts, let's not forget, with Aojun getting run down 1v1 by Shochi in what we thought was a kind of balanced lane. Manui, you're dead.
Yeah, this is the other side of a Janna. You can be really, really annoying, but you're going to get punished, and your weather forecast is all rain and gloom. Hoarder walking away. Still, though, nice coverage by Team B to, once again, scramble for something on the map.
Yeah, actually, I think that's pretty critical as well, because this is Dragon, and let's not forget, Team B got the first Drake as well, so they're stacking this for free. Team A, a little bit of a mess up. Robex knows they're there, just being annoying and canceling some backs as well. To be fair, Hoarder doesn't have TP, so I don't know. If that canceling Hoarder means he's in the area, if you let him go back, he wouldn't have been able to join in whatsoever. Doesn't matter. Second Drake picked up.
That's a nice one. For Team B, they needed a win. Now, yes, we are matching pace, and the gold lead isn't as disastrous as it was back in game number 2, where we saw it snowball out to about 4K at what? The same time, I believe, right? It was this moment of we are in an okay spot. We're starting to get some back. We are starting to get a little bit more into our own favor. You know, the 2 dragons is nice to be able to play on later, especially to get the 3rd behind. So I like what we're seeing from them.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if we've got the coach timeout. I feel like this is an interesting time if it was a coach timeout, because the game is in a fairly balanced state. Before we cut out, it was 6 kills apiece. It was about 30.7k gold for Team A, 29.4k gold for Team B. So really, really kind of narrow. And when we talked about sort of the win cons for both of these teams, I think Team A are pretty happy where they're going with the scaling. Hoarder is skilling up. He's currently unstoppable in the side lane. Mobility, he's been able to farm up. He is behind Array, but as the Aphelios, that's okay. I do think your skillings are a little bit better. You do more damage in these team fights. Team B, on the other hand, while they've been able to keep close in kills so far, I'm not quite sure they've been able to find their win cons. The Xinjiao Galio combo, that wants to take off early. We haven't seen that. The Camille Galio combo can take off later, but K's behind, and so is Aojun. So even if they do get the drop, even if they do get a carry, if it's not mobility, you might still end up losing that fight. And even if it is mobility, you might end up trading a 1-for-2 if Hoarder can still get on your back line. Array is doing perfectly fine right now. He's doing great. But we haven't seen him get the chance to kind of flex his muscles quite as much and get into a lot of these team fights and be that big carry that I feel like still hasn't stepped up for Team B just yet.
And they're trying their best. I will say their scrambles have looked pretty good so far. Whenever they're scrambling under pressure, we have seen them yield some pretty good results. Top side, I think, in game number 2 when they scrambled and were able to take down the tower first. Like, we've seen them scramble before. It's the overall, the overall game state that I will agree needs a little bit more work, and they need to find those moments. At the current moment, though, we are back in the game. 18 minutes on the clock. Dragon up in about 4.5 minutes, so not looking there. Instead, it's all about getting ward coverage. With the Ocean Soul to play for, it's a lot more of trying to find your spot, which is why it's important to watch for this TP. Well played by Aljun to keep themselves safe.
Yeah, teammate just trying to set up an ambush in the bot side, knowing that Hoarder is about to push in and take another turret, the last remaining outer turret. Mobility, though, is the one who might be in trouble. Ghost about to come back up, flash available, but no dive from Team B. They don't have enough information right now, and I respect that they're not making over-aggressive moves and throwing the game off the back end of it, but it does feel a bit rough. Hoarder in a long lane, no outer turret here.
This might be a little good chase. Kizno knows he has a couple teammates to come around the side with the heroic entrance, but Hoarder has a lot of great agile movements to try and stay away from a lot of these knockups. You're going to keep running. You don't have flash, but I mean, this is going to be the follow through, but still it's answered on the other side. Yes, shutdown in hands of Aljun, but on the top side, we saw a kill as well. Down goes K.
And this is the efficiency factor we were talking about. They sent 4 people to kill Hoarder. Team A sent 3 people to deal with K. And on top of that, they had mobility pushing on the mid side. The mid inner turret is gone. Now pushing on this top lane as well. I don't think they'll be able to take it down, but they'll get decent chip damage onto it. Team B is just slower to respond.
I wonder if there could have been a play on the other side for Team B to actively go for that tower and maybe get some damage down as well, but because that was an instant 4 recall. By the way, Team B had no words. They were like, we don't even want to take the chance of losing our topside tower. They put 4 back on committal. So we'll see if this changes anything at all. Team A, though, saying, okay, we're starting to recognize that they're getting a little bit antsy. They're starting to look for those moments. And Hoarder, as we mentioned, still not at that point where they can straight up 1v3, 1v4 the entire game.
Yeah, 1v2, I think he got it. 1v3, maybe he can walk away. But Team B sent enough people to shut him down. The problem is the cost. That's always going to be the big question. Mobility, they're thinking about it, but there's coverage for mobility. He's not alone here.
Of course, at the same time, Yu doesn't recognize how many people there are, so they are going to bring a TP into play, which allows you to step in as Team B are hesitating. Tornado goes out, misses, and Team B say, okay, we got the teleport. The unfortunate thing, though, is Hoarder's like, I don't even care if we look at the top side. That was only Sochi, so a loss of a tower on the play. Team B losing pressure around the map as they're trying to find a play for themselves.
And the teleport means that Team A is strong around the Otacon, which is where they are looking for. Taunt lands on the Shochi.
Then a nice tornado to disengage once again. True Shot Barrage goes just a little bit wide. Otacon is started up here. And I'm just keeping eyes on where Hoarder is. Hoarder is now in the mid lane pushing up this, so maybe Team A are assuming that it's not going to be fully completed. It is going to be drawn out. So it won't be completed as much, but Hoarder is around the way. Team B calling the shots here and saying we only have 1 shot to really go for this. K is going to run interference, but that's a jump in. And a huge shockwave multiple as Team A tried to set up the Wombo combo, and they get the Moonlight Vigil plus a execution in the back line. Burn, baby, burn, as yes, they lost their jungle and support, but Team A say that is a sacrifice they are more than willing to make. Array is going to try and 1v2 their way out of this one, but against Hoarder, who is so dang strong, I don't think it's going to work. We straight out 1 more, but it's still a 5-for-4 ace for Team A as Hoarder lives on.
Honestly, Array, in that situation, able to find a kill is huge for them. But the Shockwave Infernum combo, Orbital, that's what we're talking about. That's how Aphelios is built nowadays. That one big crit moment with the Infinity Edge, with the Collector. Forget attack speed. It's all about that pop. And Shochi, with the ball delivery, very patient with it. Waited till all of Team B was stacked up. And the odds of them doing that are very high. We talked about this. Their composition has so many melee champions. They tend to bunch when they go on the same target. So they just kind of held, waited for it, and then got the pop. You was sacrificed to make that happen. But frankly, you had your Bel'Veth game last game. This one is about Shochi. This one is about mobility. This one is about Hoarder.
how much are you willing to sacrifice for your team? Apparently quite a bit as well. And I love the fact that you pointed out they bunch up. It's exactly what we talked about, but it's so much simpler than that. It's literally the rock rolls into the grinder on its own is all we're really seeing here. And that's an unfortunate state that Team B are recognizing here. Of course, for oh, that was mean. That was really, really mean, by the way. Rovex got left as out goes K. Poor Rovex was like, bro, you're really gonna leave me like that? Rovex was like, yes, you are alone. You're on your own. With that death, it is now Team A on Otacon as two do it directly on top of Ward and do not care if they're spotted.
Yeah, and it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't situation for Team B. I kind of understand why they were over pushing in that situation. You wanted to secure access to the Otacon. It is the big objective. But if you're weaker and you're not willing to commit kind of everything into it, it does get a little bit iffy. Now you kind of lost 2 teleports. They're going to be able to get Soul Point, Ocean Soul Point, as sort of a consolation prize. But I don't know if they'll ever really get Soul. Team A feels like they're kind of running away with the game right now. And again, the skill that we were talking about from mobility, from Hoarder, heck, even from Shoshi, is definitely starting to come online. All this gold they're picking up is just kind of accelerating the game for themselves.
From there, they're going to play with even more conviction. Of course, right now, with the Dragons being taken, their next point of contact will be around that Dragon if the game goes on for that 4:40 left on that clock. Because Team B has stacked those Dragons quite neatly, it's also an Ocean Soul to play for, meaning it might be a nice piece of the puzzle to try and get back into this game. They are behind 5K. They're not down in the kill department as deeply. So they'll be looking for that one in about 4.5 minutes time. But as you said, this constant rotation, this constant movement from the side of Team A is keeping them on their toes as bot side is being pressed up by mobility.
Besides, kills are fun. Kills are a metric, but kills do not win you the game. It's structures that win you the game. And if we're looking at structures, Team A has 5, Team B has 1 on this bot side. They should be able to pick up another one soon. Aojun is just pushing on that top side. There's no response from Team A. Team A want to go for the inner turret instead. But there's not a lot of wave clear without the Galio. So this is getting kind of tough. Array is trying his best. It's still going to eat quite a bit of chip damage, and you got to keep your eyes on the ball here. If they group up, if they mess up, Shockwave is available for Shoshi.
There is a TP, though, on the back line, so this could be a huge flank angle. They just got to play it right. Team B are saying this is our time
really
to play. It was on top of Ward. Nice shot barrage on 2, but they're collapsing in. Nice little taunt on the back. Shot lands again! They counter gank to the gank explodes, and it's Team B that are melted on the spot. The trigger has been pulled, and the cannon is rocked. Team A shattered Team B's dream. Array, the only one left alive.
Okay, that was hella sexy. Coming through from them. Shochi, Shockwave. Minui as well. It looked like Team A knew that Aojun was coming in the entire distance. I'm trying to track the ward that he came in on. Did he come in on top of a ward as well? It felt like Team B was fully aware.
Unknown. So it was in that tri-brush. Yeah, actually, it was Team A's ward that just timed out. So it was the right idea, but it was on top of a ward. It feels bad.
Yeah, because just the coordination that Team A had on that. They had Hoarder run point while they were running away because they knew that he could stop the Galio from coming in. Galio right now is kind of tanky, but isn't the best into physical damage. And then on the back end, you could see just everybody else, mobility, Shochi, Minui, all eyes were on the clump coming in from Team B when they were chasing, and right away getting that shockwave. That was icing on the cake. If there was a chance from Team B before, right now you're praying on Team A making some sort of mistake, because I just don't see a way you're going to be able to pull it off. They are not able to find any engages into this B5 Janna pick right now that Minui is piloting to perfection.
Minui piloting and Shoshi doing the exact same 3, 2, and 11 on this Orianna, where the shockwaves have quite literally made or broken the team fights. We have to give credit there. The entire team making sure to angle around this mid that you called out earlier. The idea of that spotlight, the idea of the focal point for both these squads, and Hoarder has also been doing so much in soaking up that pressure. Baron is right now being started and already chunked down. There's going to be a steal attempt maybe by Kizno, but looking like a true shot barrage around the way. 2.9k though, and they actually leave the pit a little bit. Team A giving an opportunity and space, so it's Baron smited away by Kizno, but the death around the sides will lead Team A's resurrection once again. This is through the Baron. We want the kills and we want more space in the base. Minui somehow running away, Array and Kizno, as Team B are holding on to 2 Baron members. That's all they get though, as Team A find 3.
This is the literal trade-off for me. we give you Baron, we take the game. Because sure, you got 2 members with Baron. It is a pretty big gold swing that does benefit Team B, but the death timers is what Team A wanted. They were saying, okay, why do we take Baron? Well, gold and the ability to push. We don't need the ability to push if we kill you, and then we take your turrets anyways, and we break it open. So I really like the call from Team A to just say, okay, we know it's kind of low. We're not going to 50-50 this. We'll let them put themselves into the pit, and then we'll just kind of kill you. Mid lane, bot lane inhibitors completely broken. Topside inhibitor turret taking a beating. And now Team B, the gold difference didn't shrink by that much all said and done. I think it shrank by about 1,000 and change only.
I mean, it's so just... This game, Team A looking like the powerhouses. And we know they won game 1 as well. We know that they have played a fantastic day on the block. These 5 have really shown their stuff in more ways than one. But we are looking for that end game. We're at 28.5 minutes. Hoarder TPing in the mid. As we section around this dragon that we mentioned before, that, of course, Team B, they're okay giving this one away. They're still sitting on Soul Point. It just kind of hurts to see it given for free at this point. You're not even able to contest, so the dragon just falls directly into Team A's lap.
It's always been overall, like I said, you can get to Soul Point. I don't think they're getting Soul. If they do, it's probably going to be the end of the game. And Team A just show up in force as 5, knowing that, hey, you can't do anything about this. And I think it just speaks to how the game has gone, that Hoarder on this Ambessa is not split pushing anymore. He's always with the team. They're always looking for team fights instead. Okay, can he at least get the turret? Okay, he does.
But it's, you know, it's that piece of the puzzle. On the other side, though, Array was able to find mobility, who decided to dance a bit too close to that sun and recognize that maybe you don't have the wings that Hoarder does. Really unfortunate mistake right there, as Manui might be in the exact same good little bush tactic wait as Manui is popped where they stand.
Hey, you know, we said Team B needs to pray for a mistake from Team A. Team A just made a couple.
Follow through. You wanting some more, as now the big dog is here. Hoarder is like, I can do this, and then recognizes there's 4 there, says, no, I don't want to chance it. Instead goes back to lane and farms out that wave along with Shochi's Orianna in tow.
A little bit unfortunate for Team B that they're not able to kind of follow up and take more structures with the Baron buff, but K already took the top side. The gold gap now has shrunk actually significantly, only 4,500 gold between both of these teams, and we're seeing that Team B, they're not giving up. You know, they're still finding angles, they're still finding ways to try and pick and make and punish Team A for some of their mistakes. And as the map is opening up more and more, it does kind of give more opportunities for Team B as well to try and punish people who are overextending or kind of separate on their own. It is a double-edged blade though, because it also applies to Team B. If they are pushing out trying to make a play, they could get punished. Getting back to base takes longer, and let's not forget, if Team A wants to go back to split pushing, I still don't think anybody can match Hoarder, level 18 right now, fully leveled compared to the closest people. It's what? Shochi, K, Aljun, Array at 16.
Literally the entirety of your team, by the way. That's going to be the Hextech ultimatum being thrown down, though, as K recognizes that this is the only chance you get. And here comes their heroic engines, but you're dead before it lands. On the far side, Hoarder is trying to get back to the rest of the team. Monsoon a little bit slow, though, as the overload without Shochi there means Team A are not able to play much further. So Team B, once again, finding some magical moments here and saying, maybe we can get a little bit more True Shot Barrage on multiple members. So it's a piece taken away. Team A lose Hoarder.
Yeah, and Array able to just free fire in that fight as well. All the focus was being put down onto K, but Array is actually the big damage dealer on this team with Sarota's Grudge now as well. Team A have to be a little bit careful. When they find the engages, they need to, they're very front loaded with bursts. Like we talked and hyped up the Infernum ultimate with the Shockwave. But if those two don't go together, you're seeing that their consistent damage is a little bit on the weaker side. Sure, Hoarder can do it, but Hoarder and Mobility, they were split. And I think Team B played very well, keep making sure that they didn't get collapsed on, that they were always playing against the side that wanted to be that flanking maneuver and just saying that, hey, we've got bigger numbers either way. And Team A couldn't quite coordinate, as you said, without Shochi.
Now I wonder if Team A are saying, okay, maybe we're not as ahead as we think. That 5K lead that they had earlier, actually close to 7 to 8, now down to 2K. Dragon's up in 2 minutes. So we've seen Team A do this before, where they also in game number 2 said, okay, maybe we don't get too big of a head on our shoulders. Let's go ahead, play a little bit safer back. Let's go for the 80% plays instead of the 65 to 70% plays. That one would be around the dragon. Baron obviously up in 40, and with the warding and the vision, that should be the priority. But for Team A, I am wondering if they're going to take this one nice and slow and say, okay, we just can't really get caught once again.
Yeah, and starting with the vision, they're not skipping steps right now. They're making sure they're denying everything away. And if Team B wants to walk into them, it is going through Fog of War. Kizno has GA completed, same as you. So if anybody takes point on this, it should be Kizno.
They can do so right now. Everyone coming out of the bushes like that war means that Kizno has to burn the Crescent Guard. Now a little bit of catch on the far end as you comes in on the spring. Guardian Angel about to get popped very quickly though without a single ult. So it's well timed by Team B. They're playing these team fights so well. Down goes you, and that means a follow through by K allows Hoarder to get caught, but how much more do they want to save? As in goes Hoarder, and I don't know if that's what you actually want Monsoon to try and save, but they're backing away a little bit too cleanly. Team B saying maybe we can get more, but in goes Mobility to at least get some answers back. However, it's Team B with the absolute slaughtering as 3 are alive and they took 4 in tow.
And the GA that came through from Kizno, the ability for Team B to not commit to the fight was critical because they couldn't get the burst down on the targets. They couldn't quite find everybody clumped together. Mobility, even with the flash in, wasn't quite able to finish off key targets. And Team B, I doubted whether they would be able to get that dragon. They felt like they were so far behind, but Orbital, they've done it. They get themselves the Ocean Soul, which is huge because they also have the ability to poke with this Ezreal. That's not something that Team A have great answers into with poke, with Dragon Soul. Suddenly Team A, they need to hard commit and they need to be better at the engage because their last couple have not worked.
And granted, that falls directly into what you talked about before as well. Array on the team fights on this Ezreal has the space-making ability and has a Triforce, has a Bloodthirst as well. You talked about the HP value. Array has it. Right? Array was untouched in that battle. We've mentioned his team fighting tactics and prowess so far has been amazing. Not only that, in game 2, we saw how resilient they were. They know how to play a defensive Array very cleanly, no pun intended again, but their defense on the base was so good. This squad, that little light, that glimmer that we saw in game 2 is now starting to show through very, very brightly as they're standing toe-to-toe in this game number 3 and are low looking for a fight of their own. Manui getting caught out in that Hextech ultimatum and immediately dropped on their head. That is rough, as that is a clean take of that support, and Team B can look at Baron.
Yeah, and they knew Mobility was on that top side clearing the wave, and unfortunately Team A just not playing respectfully enough. Unfortunately for Minui, he's not on a tank. Is Mobility in trouble? He's walking straight into the taunt.
And it's again, the Death Rush yields results with the Ocean Soul behind. Team B look like the masters of their craft right now.
I wish we could see gold differential graphs, Orbital, because this one just dropped off the face of a cliff. Team B now with the Soul, with the Baron on the push. There's a lot of standing turrets. That's all standing gold for Team B to pick up. Heck, mid lane still has an outer turret that they can go ahead and take.
It's at this point where Hoarder was like, I could take 1v2. I could maybe take a 1v3. I don't even think I could take a 1v1 now. That's how rough it is. We mentioned that Hoarder has almost been that litmus test of how much further are you going to go? Well, you are now stuck on this position of, I can't really get any stronger. Once that 5th item comes in, yes, you'll be good. But Hoarder has been at this point for a while, so the fact that Team B have actively chased their way on up has been so good for them. And now we get to see, as you mentioned, tower falling. It's like butter. But how much more are they going to get? When do we see Team A actively gather around to stop them? I don't know if it's going to happen. Is that just the straight up tower type Nui once again? Not the tank that you're hoping for. That's 2 towers in a row.
No, and it feels so much like the last time Minui got caught in his jungle. Look, you saw how fast he melted. That was never going to save you under a turret, and him going down really affects the team because Minui has been money with the monsoons. He's been so good at keeping people away from Mobility that when Minui goes down, suddenly you just don't have that safety to be able to front to back to get the Aphelios into the fight. And right now, Team B going for their 3rd turret in a row. We went from even gold to, what is this, a 5,000 gold advantage, 4,000 gold advantage for Team B. Can they make it 5 on this push?
They're going to make it a game win. That's a flash underneath the tower, into a double taunt, into the Crimson Guard to body block. All the rest of the damage. Mobility has to run. Hoarder does as well. You running for their life and a half. But the catch Hoarder again. Whose public execution is it? Moonlight Vigil lands on the back end, but barely does anything as Aljun gets his revenge. The Galio steps up in a massive way, and RMC Team B shows that in game 3 it is all theirs. Hoarder is forced to the grave, and in an immediate swap at the last 5 minutes, it's Team B to take game 3 of this Combine Set 1.
Well played for Team B. I am glad that they managed to pick themselves up a game in this series because it was looking really, really tough for Team B. When Array, look, we've harped a lot on Array. He was undoubtedly the biggest carry for the team in terms of damage output. But Rovex, I think, showed up big on the Rakan as well. When Kizno was struggling to kind of get in there to kick things off, Rovex found lots of ways to just cause a lot of disruption. And between him and K, especially towards the end, onto Minui of all people, them just finding the way back in there, I think, was absolutely critical. So huge props to the mentals of Team B and their eye and ability to kind of find those engages when they needed to clutch it up.
I wonder if the coaches had a lot to say about that one because we saw some of those timeouts coming a little bit later. And listen, I'm going to say it. I'm a huge fan of watching those coaches come in and have a live action ability to influence the game. I really hope that was one of the cases. But either way, I mean, give credit where credit is due. Team B with an absolute turnaround right there. And still shout out to Team A as well. They're a squad that quite literally dominated games 1, game 2. Not only that, we're following through on the early game. Everything was so good and clean. If this is the start of this combine, I'm excited to see how much further it goes. Now, RMC, I want to ask more questions, but we're looking at the top of the hour in about 30 minutes set to starting on the day. And I want to get your thoughts here because you'll see all the names later, but is there a singular player that we need to watch out for that you are curious about in set 2 that you want to shout out right now?
Okay, I think, first of all players kind of performed really, really, really well. One player from each team. From Team A, for me, it's you. This is kind of his sort of, I don't want to call it a debut necessarily, but certainly this is his way of drawing eyes to him, trying to find his way into Tier 2, and I think he popped off really, really hard this series. Even in Game 3, he was not the main focus of the team on the bye. He was just kind of the fire and forget missile to kick things off, but I think he did his job really, really well. His Belvec game shows why it needs to be banned. So I think he had a wonderful debut here within the Saido Combine. On Team B, it's got to be Array for me, man. This guy's been floating around Tier 2 for it feels like forever at this point. Tier 2, Tier 3, but he undoubtedly deserves to be in Tier 2 or higher with the way he plays. And we saw all 3 games, even when he was falling behind, he was always sort of that hope for the team to come back in. And this game, they give him Ezreal. They give him agency to kind of just run rings around the opponents, and he did just that. He didn't die very much. They cost Team A way too much to try and hunt down this Ezreal. And when you're playing Ezreal into Vi, the fact that Array didn't get outed, look, you can say, oh, you wasn't picking the right targets. No, you was never in range to click on Array. Like, Array was always kiting around, making sure that, oh, keep that Vi away from me till the out is down, or till you is dead trying to even reach the Ezreal. So I think huge props to Array and how he really navigated this entire series as a whole.
Yep, really amazing plays from everyone, though. Even though some stood out, everyone played a phenomenal day of 3 games, and hopefully we see them a little bit further on, maybe under some duress, depending on some requirements on some of those matches. Either way, though, we are done here, at least with this block. Now, keep in mind, this stream will be going down for just a short moment as we get everything set up for a second, and then we'll be back with some new faces and some new friends. So make sure to stay tuned to the Blue Otter League stream here today as we are continuing on our Saido GG Combine for the Path2Pro side of things. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Orbital. With me has been RMC, and we had Wookie on the production. Shout out to all the players, and we'll see you all in a bit.